Chapter 897. Mrs. Tang's Displeasure's Unwilling. Xiaomicron County Magistrate Yang discreetly assessed Xiao. She noticed his gaze but chose not to respond. He was a stranger to her. As the men and women took their seats, County Magistrate Qiao exchanged greetings with County Magistrate Yang through the screen, while Madame Qiao greeted Madame Tang alongside Ojao Xian. Once the banquet began, Madame Qiao wore a bright smile and welcomed their guests warmly. Madame Tang reciprocated the greetings but avoided direct eye contact with Xiao. Occasionally, their eyes met briefly before Madame Tang looked away. Suddenly, Madame Qiao let out a sigh and glanced at Xiao as she spoke to Madame Tang with a smile. Our old master will be transferred back to the capital in a few months. It may be challenging for our families to meet again, which is why he believes it's important to treat Madame Tang and Officer Yang well before we depart. After all, we could have become relatives. Unfortunately, it is Xian who has not been fortunate enough to have a promising young man like Officer Yang and a kind mother-in-law like Madame Tang. Upon hearing Madame Qiao's words, Madame Tang felt a slight sense of relief. She smiled and replied, "That is all in the past, Madame Qiao. There is no need to mention it anymore." Madame Qiao continued with a smile, "You're right, we should not dwell on the past. It was an unexpected turn of events, but I'm glad old master and I are reassured. Even if we can't become in-laws, we can still get to know each other. Perhaps when Officer Yang is promoted to the capital in the future, we can develop a closer relationship." Having an additional friend meant having another connection within the court. No one would willingly offend their peers unless it was absolutely necessary. Madame Tang was well aware of this, so she quickly engaged in a friendly conversation with Madame Obo. Initially, Madame Tang did not hold a high opinion of Xiao, her son's former fiancé, after he passed the imperial examination. However, her son had performed exceptionally well and received a promotion the following year. It was a promising future, a rare achievement. He was still very young. If it weren't for this troublesome marriage alliance, her son could have been chosen by noble ladies in the capital and become the son-in-law of a prestigious family, propelling him to even greater heights in the capital. Although becoming the head of a county at such a young age was already impressive, wouldn't it be better for him to have an even brighter future? Her son was a top student, young, and handsome. When Madame Qiao sent a letter stating that something had occurred, leading to the annulment of the engagement between Obo Xian and her family, Madame Tang was overjoyed. When she heard that Xiao had become involved with a poor girl from the countryside and had her reputation tarnished, Madame Tang found even greater satisfaction, considering it as her revenge. She believed that it was Xiao who had ruined her son's future, so she took pleasure in her misfortune. Madame Tang had anticipated that Xiao would live a wretched life. However, to her surprise, upon Madame Qiao's invitation, Xiao appeared remarkably beautiful and graceful. Furthermore, her impoverished husband, who was a cultivated talent, was preparing for the intermediate examination. Soon, they would be taking the examination in the capital. Well, upon their first meeting, Madame Tang experienced a mix of complex and uneasy emotions. However, Madame Tang had forgotten a crucial detail. When her son and Xiao were engaged, she had already lost her husband. Chapter 898. Forgotten's Unwilling. Xiaomicron she and her mother-in-law relied on each other to raise their 7-year-old son. And Xiao's birth mother had provided the necessary capital of 60 liang, and they would have struggled to support their son's education. The local bullies would have taken advantage of their vulnerability and seized their land. Their lives would have taken a completely different path. She had even forgotten the promise she made to her late mother-in-law, to treat Xiao well and regard her as a daughter once she married into the family. All of these important details slipped her mind. However, Xiao was completely unaware of these circumstances. From the original host's memories, she only knew that her own mother, who was a concubine, had also been cherished. Taking advantage of her father's favor, she had pleaded for justice. Perhaps due to Xiao being an orphaned girl, Madame Qiao had approved of her request. Since County Magistrate Qiao had left his position, there had been no news from her fiancé's family. Madame Qiao and Madame Tang engaged in conversation for a while before requesting that Xiao raise a toast to Madame Tang. "You used to have a good relationship with them, so it's appropriate for you to toast her. You have no idea that Madame Tang is your future mother-in-law." "I was aware of that," Xiao replied with a smile, lifting the small wine cup and standing up. She spoke politely, Auntie Tang as my senior, it is my duty to show respect. I wish you a long and healthy life. Xian felt a sense of gratitude towards Madame Tang for sparing her from marrying into their family. If she had married into the Qiao family, she wouldn't have had the opportunity to be with Shao Yunduan. Comparatively, Madame Tang wasn't as terrible as Madame Qiao, but she was far from being an easygoing mother-in-law. She couldn't even compare to her own mother-in-law. Dealing with a mother-in-law like her was truly tormenting. Madame Qiao and the others were taken aback. They had hoped to catch Xian off guard, making her stumble and embarrass herself. How did she know about this? Who had informed her? Qiao Wei glared at Qiao Ko. Qiao Ko looked very innocent. She did not even see Xian today. Why was that related to her? Madame Tang was not feeling very comfortable either. She felt that it was Xian's loss to have missed such a wonderful son like her. Xian should feel sad, grievous and disappointed. But Xian was so open to them, and she was even congratulating her with a smile. She did not show any emotion that she should. That displeased her. She could look down at Xian, but Xian had lost such a great suitor like her son. Wasn't she saddened and regretful? Could it be that she was looking down at her own family and her own son? How ridiculous! Madame Tang nodded slightly, raised the cup and took a sip, saying with a small smile, "Second miss, you are a very steady woman, and you must be having a good time after marriage, right?" Xian nodded with a smile. "Thank you for your concern, Auntie. My husband, mother-in-law and my sisters-in-law are all very nice to Mel. The whole family is getting on well with each other." "That is good, then I am assured. One just can't believe what I heard. Second miss, you have to be careful in the future." "Thank you, Auntie. I can't believe that either. The maid asked me to watch the fish by the lake and then left to fetch the tea. I never saw who pushed me into the lake, and I still have no idea." Madame Tang's face changed. "All right, Xian." Madame Qiao threw a cold look at her. "Don't talk nonsense." Chapter 899. Shao Yunduan Esker B0's Nvel. CM Qiao Wei sneered. "Indeed, it was you who fell into the water and made up an excuse. Who pushed you into the water? Don't talk nonsense, you must have misunderstood." Xian had confronted Officer Qiao about the incident and had even pointed at Madame Qiao, but without evidence, Madame Qiao would never admit her wrongdoing. However, County Magistrate Qiao must have started to harbor suspicions as well. Xian smiled. "I'm not a fool. I know perfectly well whether I tripped and fell or was pushed from behind. I don't need any evidence." "How absurd. Besides, that's all in the past, and there's no need to dwell on it." Madame Qiao's expression turned cold. "You've said your piece, and there's no point in saying anything further." Madame Tang grew anxious. Subconsciously, she began to suspect that there was something more to the situation. Subconsciously, she started to fear and be on guard against Madame Qiao. Qiao Wei chimed in. "You must have misunderstood." Xian smiled but remained silent. The atmosphere at the banquet became increasingly tense, as the whole incident was stirred up. Madame Qiao dared not say anything more. She could sense that Xian was a woman capable of causing trouble. Continuing the conversation would only escalate matters. Having spent a few days living with County Magistrate Yang and his mother, that was all she needed. It was enough. She didn't believe that Shao Yunduan would remain indifferent. The moment this thorn was embedded in Shao Yunduan's heart, it would fester and grow. One day, it would be the downfall of this woman. This woman was destined to marry a peasant and lead a wretched life. She didn't deserve to be the wife of an official. The banquet continued in an atmosphere of forced friendliness. Once the banquet concluded, everyone departed. Xian took Lixia back to the courtyard and closed the door. Lixia let out a sigh of relief. "That's enough for today, Mrs. Shao. What's our plan for tomorrow?" "I don't think Madame Qiao and Elder Miss Qiao are easy to handle." Xian found it amusing. Those mother and daughter were not to be underestimated. But it didn't matter. She wasn't someone to be trifled with either. Perhaps we'll leave tomorrow. Shao Yunduan would probably come to pick her up. Lixia's face lit up. "That would be wonderful." The next day, after breakfast, Madame Qiao prepared to take them out. As Madame Tang was a devout Buddhist, Madame Qiao and Xianxia accompanied her to pay respects at the temple. County Magistrate Yang, always dutiful to his mother, rode alongside her in the wagon. As they boarded the wagon, Xianxia caught sight of him and exchanged a fleeting glance. In that moment, Xianxia quickly averted her gaze, inwardly cursing. She was far from pleased. Officer Yang was an intriguing man as well. Women were off limits, and she was a disgraced girl who was once his fiancée. Shouldn't he keep his distance? Filial piety? Xianxia couldn't quite grasp its meaning. Madame Tang, true to her devotion, engaged in conversation with Madame Qiao at the temple before proceeding to pay respects to the Buddha. Madame Qiao accompanied her, instructing the three sisters to wander around casually and nonchalantly. Qiao Wei rolled her eyes at Xianxia, snorted in disdain, and haughtily departed. Qiao Ko pondered for a moment and obediently followed suit. Chapter 900. Awkward and Angry B0s Nvel. CM Translator. Henyi Translations. Xianxia admired Qiao Ko's adaptability. Despite being slapped in the face by Qiao Wei, once she had recovered, she still willingly played the role of lackey, henchman, lapdog. The temple was rather small, with no scenic view at the back of the mountain. Xianxia simply passed the time under the eaves of the hall. Coincidentally, County Magistrate Yang appeared at the other end of the long corridor. Spotting Xianxia beneath the eaves, County Magistrate Yang hesitated for a moment before walking towards her. Xianxia seemed to sense something and looked up, locking eyes with him. After contemplating for a moment, Xianxia descended the steps and stood in the empty space in front of the hall, beckoning a passing young monk. "Officer Yang, are you seeking me out?" she asked. County Magistrate Yang was taken aback, forcing a smile. "I have a few words to discuss with 2nd Mississippi." "Very well," Xianxia nodded. "Please wait here and act as our witness. After all, it wouldn't be appropriate for a man and a woman to make physical contact, and we wouldn't want any rumors to circulate." "County Magistrate Yang, speak your mind." County Magistrate Yang and the young master were both taken aback. The young master wore a smile that was more pained than joyous. He couldn't refuse the visitor's request, but he also didn't think it was proper for him to be present. County Magistrate Yang felt a mix of embarrassment and unease. What did Xianxia mean by suggesting such involvement between them? Why did she think she could get close to him? It should have been the other way around, where he should maintain distance from her, right? This wasn't how things were supposed to be. He had already declined County Magistrate Qiao and Madame Qiao's invitation. He had never intended to sever the engagement, but when it was broken off smoothly, he couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. Because of this situation, he wanted to distance himself from the Qiao family. However, Xianxia's mother had mentioned that County Magistrate Qiao would soon be transferred back to the capital, and they could remain friends. What if their paths crossed again in the future? In the court, it was always beneficial to have more friends than enemies. Moreover, his former fiancée, the second miss of the Qiao family, was now married to a common-born cultivated talent and would no longer pester him. There was nothing for him to fear. After considering the situation for a while, he found some logic in it. More importantly, County Magistrate Yang was privy to information that his mother was not aware of. While his mother only knew that the second miss of the Qiao family had married a cultivated talent from a farmer's background, County Magistrate Yang had learned that the cultivated talent was actually the provincial champion of the recent fall quarter examination. Barring any unexpected circumstances, he was likely to become an advanced scholar next year. For some reason, County Magistrate Yang felt a mix of emotions stirring within him. Curiosity took hold, and he found himself wanting to see what his ex-fiancée and the accomplished cultivated talent were truly like. Thus, he and his mother traveled to Heshan County. Although he hadn't seen the second miss the previous day, his mother had. His mother's impression of Xianxia was not favorable. She described her as mean-spirited, arrogant, disrespectful towards elders, and foolishly proud. According to his mother, she was not a person with a kind heart. In retrospect, County Magistrate Yang felt fortunate that he hadn't married her. Hearing his mother's account, he couldn't help but feel a sense of relief as well. However, as they were leaving that day, County Magistrate Yang caught sight of the second miss of the Qiao family, who appeared quite different from the description his mother had given. Chapter 901. How could that be B0's Nvel? He couldn't find any traces of the meanness, pride, or stupidity his mother had described in Xiao. On the contrary, she captivated his attention. She exuded a calm, natural and elegant aura that made his eyes light up. Despite the obvious ostracization and isolation from Madame Qiao, her mother, and the Qiao family servants, Xiao walked among them without a trace of timidity, embarrassment, or anger. It was as if they were attempting to suppress and ridicule her, but she stood tall and strong, emanating confidence that seemed to disregard Madame Qiao's existence. To Xiao, those people were nothing more than insignificant clowns. County Magistrate Yang's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't accept this. What troubled him even more was that she had noticed him too, yet her gaze held no emotions. It was as if he, like everyone else, was merely a stranger in her eyes. But how could that be? He was her former fiancé, and their engagement had been broken off due to her own mistake. As a concubine's daughter, it should have been an honor for her to marry him. Yet, she showed no reaction upon seeing him. She glanced at him briefly and then averted her gaze. He felt so insignificant in Xiao's eyes. This realization left County Magistrate Yang, who had always been arrogant and believed that Xiao would deeply regret losing their engagement, feeling deeply displeased. He appeared visibly humiliated. The feeling of being disregarded only intensified his displeasure and discomfort. Eventually, he reached a breaking point. When he spotted her in the intermediate temple, he unconsciously made his way towards her. He felt the need to engage in a conversation with her, even though he had no clear idea of what he wanted to discuss. What he hadn't anticipated was Xiao's frank and composed demeanor, to the point where she even called upon a young master to act as a witness. County Magistrate Yang was both taken aback and further humiliated. Who did Second Miss think he was? Did she believe that he would pursue her relentlessly, harboring ulterior motives towards her? How absurd! County Magistrate Yang suppressed the bitterness in his heart, forcing a neutral smile as he observed Xiao. Second Miss seems to be faring well lately. Xiao replied with a smile. Thank you, the bitterness has indeed subsided. Xiao spoke the truth. Although she wasn't the original host, she was aware of the numerous hardships the original host had endured. Xiao had no intention of taking advantage of Madame Qiao. She aimed to reveal the truth. However, County Magistrate Yang, who had been feeling displeased, couldn't help but show a slight change in his expression. He felt exposed. So Xiao was implying that her suffering had been a result of the marriage alliance, but now that she was going to marry cultivated talent Shao, all her grievances would vanish? How confident she was to utter such words in his presence. County Magistrate Yang responded with a harsh tone. Second Miss, aren't you afraid of being misunderstood? People might think you're complaining about your mother's family. Xiao calmly replied, Officer Yang, as a daughter born from a concubine without a mother, do you believe I would have a better life without my birth mother around? Chapter 902. Made Xiao laugh B0's Nvel. CM Translator. Henyi Translation's County Magistrate Yang was taken aback. He hadn't anticipated Xiao to be so impolite. Xiao glanced at his startled expression, noting his old-fashioned and arrogant demeanor. She couldn't help but feel relieved that their marriage had not come to pass. Otherwise, it would have been an utter disaster. Officer Yang, is there anything else? If not, I'll take my leave. County Magistrate Yang couldn't tolerate it any longer. Second Miss, you seem to have a sharp tongue. You must be quite fortunate. You lack the understanding of proper parenting, and should not be ignorant of the responsibilities of raising a child. County Magistrate Yang was raised by his grandmother and his mother, and he was a very filial person. He did not like what Xiao said about filial piety. Xiao almost burst into laughter. What did he truly know? Did he think that merely uttering the words filial piety gave him the right to point fingers and pass judgment? If this man had been born in the modern era and had access to a keyboard, he would have been a force to be reckoned with. Xiao responded frankly, Officer Yang, what do you actually know? Why do you feel entitled to dictate my actions? In the harsh winter, I had to survive on leftovers. When I fell ill, I had to take care of myself. On the surface, I had maids attending to me, but in reality, one had to fetch my own bathwater, little by little. Even the elderly women in the household would humiliate me in front of everyone. My so-called sister would taunt me when she was in a good mood, and when she was displeased, she would scold me and take out her frustrations on me. My so-called father only lectured me a few times a year, and he never showed any affection towards me. He never valued me, Officer Yang. Can you not see the absurdity in expecting me to respect such a father? County Magistrate Yang was taken aback. He had no knowledge of these circumstances, nor could he fathom them. His grandmother and mother had always taken care of him. He found it hard to believe that the amiable Officer Obo and the kind-hearted Madame Qiao could be the kind of people that Xian described. Moreover, he was the county magistrate, and he couldn't afford to make a mistake in front of his ex-fiancée, Xian. Isn't that so? The world is filled with parents who fall short, as the sages have said. Regardless of what has happened, they have provided for you and raised you, and that is a significant favor, Officer Yang insisted firmly. But Officer Yang, it seems you have forgotten that I am their daughter, not an unrelated outsider. It is their duty to raise me well. They have not fulfilled their responsibilities adequately, Xian retorted. You're just making excuses. County Magistrate Yang retorted, his anger flaring up. That's not right. Xian took a deep breath, as if she were ready to roll up her sleeves and give this man a good scolding. She wanted to see if he had any sense in his head. But no, she couldn't waste her time arguing with someone like him. What was the point of their conversation anyway? Was he trying to make himself noticed? Xian was about to leave when Madame Qiao and Madame Tang emerged with the maids and aunts. Everyone's attention was immediately drawn to them. Madame Tang's expression changed, and she took a few steps forward. Xian, what are you discussing? Madame Tang glanced at Xian with a sharp and cautious look, as if Xian were trying to seduce her son. Madame Qiao, on the other hand, couldn't hide her satisfaction, but she sighed with a tone of reproach. Xian, how could you bother Officer Yang? It's highly inappropriate. Officer Yang, I apologize on behalf of Xian. I'm sure she didn't mean any harm. Chapter 903. Black and White B0's Nvel. CM Madame Tang's anger escalated further, and she sneered. She knows perfectly well whether she did it on purpose or not. Madame Qiao interjected. Xian, quickly explain yourself to Madame Tang. Qiao Ko and Qiao Wei, who were also present, whispered to Auntie Hua to inquire about the situation. Upon hearing the details, they burst into laughter. Second sister, it's your own fault. You're already married, yet you still can't avoid raising suspicions? Indeed, even if you were to pester Officer Yang, what good would it do? You're simply making a fool of yourself. Second sister, you're still so careless. That won't lead to anything good. You really should work on changing your ways. Upon hearing their remarks, Madame Tang realized that Xian had not only bothered her son but also had a criminal record. This further infuriated her and she sneered. How dare you? It appears that Madame Qiao ought to teach you a lesson, or else you'll continue embarrassing yourself with your antics. Madame Qiao was displeased. Madame Tang, you're taking it too far. Wei is well-mannered and well-behaved. It seems we need to be cautious in our actions. Bah! Madame Tang showed a look of disdain. Xian threw a cold look at each of them and said coldly, Are you done? Are you listening to me? Officer Yang, are you talking with me or me talking with you? I have a witness. County Magistrate Yang was speechless. County Magistrate Yang had always been a proud person, but when Madame Qiao scolded Xian for no reason, County Magistrate Yang felt very embarrassed. It was as if they were blaming him, because he turned to Xian, not Xian to him. He could not stand to be humiliated. He had intended to stay silent. But hearing what Xian said, he could not stay silent anymore. There was a young monk from the temple nearby, observing the situation intently. County Magistrate Yang couldn't simply ignore him and allow a negative and irresponsible reputation to linger in the temple and throughout Heshan County. As County Magistrate Yang considered how Xian had asked the young monk to stay, his emotions became even more complex. Mother, Madame Qiao, you've all misunderstood second miss of the Qiao family. It was I who approached second miss of the Qiao family. Everyone was taken aback. Madame Qiao raised an eyebrow and was about to speak when Xian sneered. Officer Yang was merely extending a polite greeting to me. How dare you misconstrue it like this? Haha. Xian looked down upon County Magistrate Yang with disdain. She was lucky enough to stay cautious. Otherwise, this man might have made her to explain something. He wasn't just greeting her. He was actually bothering her. Yes. He was incessantly bothering her. What a devious man. He truly had the characteristics of a scoundrel. Madame Tang felt a twinge of embarrassment. She cast a suspicious glance at her son, but County Magistrate Yang chose to ignore her. Qiao Wei sneered. Officer Yang was merely greeting you, but you're persistently bothering him and refusing to let him be. Well, it's all the same. But it's pointless. I suggest you face the reality as soon as possible. Madame Tang's gaze turned sharp once again as she directed a piercing stare at Xian. Xian stepped forward and slapped Qiao Wei across the face. Mind your tongue. Chapter 904. Try it B0's Nvel. CM Qiao Wei was taken aback, her hands instinctively covering her face as she let out a piercing scream. In a fit of rage, she lunged at Xian, attempting to scratch her. How dare you touch me, you despicable person? Who do you think you are? How dare you lay a hand on me? What are you all staring at? Grab her and teach her a lesson. Show her no mercy. Qiao Wei's face contorted with anger as she screamed furiously. Her eyes filled with pure hatred as if she were on the verge of losing control. Xian, however, was unfazed and prepared for the onslaught. She pushed Qiao Wei away and retorted sharply. Is this how a lady from a noble family is supposed to behave? Such ferocity and malevolence. Madam Qiao, your skills in raising a daughter are truly remarkable, and your own daughter is a shining example as well. Madam Qiao, feeling a mixture of annoyance and surprise, intervened hastily, calling off the maids and aunts who were about to intervene. That's enough, stop it now. Wei, enough. Madam Qiao felt her face flush with embarrassment and anger. She had just been boasting about Qiao Wei's manners and composure in front of Madame Tang, only to be thrust into this situation by Xian. Madame Qiao couldn't help but suspect that Xian had orchestrated this deliberately, and the thought made her want to retaliate with force. Madame Qiao's gaze turned icy as she glared at Xian. Xian, where are your manners? How dare you lay a hand on your sister? You will be dealt with when we return home. Xian sneered dismissively. What's the point of waiting? Why not expose the truth right now? She's nothing but a foul-mouthed troublemaker who framed me and tarnished my reputation. She's practically pushing me towards my demise. I have every right to slap some sense into her. She accused me of harassing Officer Yang, but did she witness it herself? Who determines what's mine and what's not? Who decides what's real and what's not? She's beyond bizarre. She's no sister of mine, that's for certain. Xian let out a mocking laugh. Oh, what a noble lady she is. Just a gossip-mongering woman with a corrupt mind. And you? Xian cast a scornful glance at the maids and aunts and spoke with sarcasm dripping from her words. Dare you lay a hand on me? I am the wife of the provincial champion. Test me if you have the nerve. Madame Qiao gasped, a mix of astonishment and irritation washing over her. Well, aren't you sharp-tongued? Spending so much time in the countryside has certainly changed you. Xian's smile widened. Well, of course it's different. As the wife of the provincial champion, I can't simply be framed for no reason, Canel? You should be grateful, Madame Qiao. After all, my dear sister here has such a gift for gab. In merely being taught a lesson on what to say and what not to say. Madame Qiao. Qiao Wei, tears streaming down her face, retorted angrily. What's wrong with Madame Provincial Champion? She can't seem to stop talking about herself. She's not even worthy of being the official's wife. I highly doubt that impoverished village cultivated talent will ever rise to the level of an intermediate advanced scholar. Xian sneered, fixing her gaze on Qiao Wei. I am Madame Provincial Champion, and you are not. Why should I endure such humiliation? Say those words to my face if you dare. A lowly cultivated talent from the countryside? Sister, your memory seems to be failing you. My husband holds the title of Provincial Champion. Elle will remember your words today. When my husband attains the rank of advanced scholar, I will slap your face once again. How dare you? Qiao Wei screamed in outrage. That's enough. Madame Qiao's anger surged, causing her chest to tighten and her temples to throb. Cease this bickering in this sacred place of Buddhism. You two should know when to put an end to your quarrel. Madam Tang, it's getting late. Let us return home. Qiao Wei remained defiant, refusing to let the matter rest. Mom L. Chapter 905. County Magistrate Yang's Suffocation B0's Nvel. CM, all right, let's talk when we return. Qiao Wei stated, casting a furious glance at Qiao Xian. Her face flushed, and she refrained from saying anything further. Qiao Xian's voice turned cold as she spoke. Do you understand the situation? Firstly, County Magistrate Yang approached me on his own accord, not the other way around. There are witnesses from the monastery who can attest to this. Secondly, one reprimanded Elder Miss because of her malicious words. She deserved to be taught a lesson. Once we leave this place, let's ensure that no one distorts the truth or spreads false rumors. The room brimmed with anger as everyone present seethed with fury. Madame Qiao felt an overwhelming urge to tear Qiao Xian apart, a sentiment shared by Madame Tang and County Magistrate Yang. Internally, Madame Tang couldn't help but think that the second miss of the Qiao family had a deplorable character. She lacked gentleness, disregarded others' reputations, and lacked proper manners. She was relieved that her son had married someone different. Otherwise, he would have been pushed to his limits. While it was acceptable if the provincial champion wasn't present, what if he were? She couldn't imagine her husband's reputation being tarnished by associating with such a woman. It was as if Qiao Xian was intentionally causing trouble for him. Suppressing her anger, Madame Qiao sneered. You are indeed a straightforward individual, and no one can dispute that. Qiao Xian retorted. Yet there is always that one person in this world who twists the truth to suit their selfish desires or out of sheer jealousy. Madame Qiao, I find solace in your words. Bah! Everyone grew bored and returned to the mansion, their enthusiasm waning. During the wagon ride, Madame Tang politely suggested to Madame Qiao that she and her son should return home the following day. A sudden slap landed on Madame Qiao's face, leaving her feeling both embarrassed and taken aback. Hearing the suggestion, she inwardly breathed a sigh of relief, no longer needing to maintain pretenses. Upon reaching the backyard of the county office, they spotted Shao Yunduan conversing with County Magistrate Qiao. Spotting their arrival, he stepped forward to greet them. My darling. Qiao Xian's eyes lit up as she approached him with a smile. Knowing that he would come once he learned about the presence of the Yang family's mother and son, she wasn't surprised. Darling. Shao Yunduan smiled and held her hands briefly before releasing them. He then exchanged a knowing glance with County Magistrate Yang. Acknowledging County Magistrate Yang with a nod, Shao Yunduan politely greeted Madame Qiao. County Magistrate Yang's distress deepened, his expression turning sour. He felt thoroughly humiliated. As Qiao Xian called out to her husband and approached Shao Yunduan, her radiance was almost blinding, and the genuine heartfelt smile on her face pained his eyes. To his surprise, Shao Yunduan, whom he had considered a timid scholar with unremarkable eyes, turned out to be incredibly handsome and captivating. Madame Tang, who believed her son to be the epitome of excellence, grew even more disapproving of Shao Yunduan. County Magistrate Yang wore an expression of immense displeasure, while Madame Tang's face darkened. She scrutinized Shao Yunduan from head to toe and concluded that he was inferior to her son. He wasn't even worthy of carrying her son's shoes. Qiao Xian, who had raised a daughter lacking in manners as a concubine's child, seemed like a perfect match for this man. Both of them shamelessly flirted with each other in front of so many people. Madame Qiao found herself obligated to introduce Madame Tang and County Magistrate Yang to Shao Yunduan. With a smile she said, Please disregard the provincial champion's behavior. Her intentions were dubious. Shao Yunduan paid no heed to her words and politely greeted Madame Tang and her son, leading them inside together. Chapter 906. Shao Yunduan B0's Nvel. CM Shao Yunduan continued conversing with County Magistrate Qiao and County Magistrate Yang, but Madame Tang grew increasingly irritated, no longer wishing to lay eyes on Qiao Xian. Thus, she declined the invitation and returned to her guest room. She couldn't deny it. Shao Yunduan wasn't all that different from her son. What depressed her was the fact that after Qiao Xian called off the engagement with her son, she should have been wallowing in regret and misery. Yet, Here she was, leading a seemingly peaceful life. It didn't make sense. What annoyed Madame Tang the most was the emotional comment made by the elderly auntie next to her. The second miss is so fortunate to have married the esteemed provincial champion. They make such a perfect couple. Madame Tang's expression changed. She would have snapped back at her, but she held her tongue in consideration of her own presence. Meanwhile, Qiao Mjei continued to cry and complain to Madame Qiao, urging her to teach Xian a lesson so she could vent her anger. Qiao Wei had initially planned to call out Shao Yunduan's name once they returned to the mansion, but now that he was present, she wouldn't dare to act so boldly. Madame Qiao shared the disappointment felt by everyone present. Xian raised her hand and slapped Qiao Wei across the face, a resounding smack that reverberated in the room. Qiao Wei, though tempted to retaliate, knew she was in the and refrained from doing so. In a shocking turn of events, it was even more like a slap on herself, Madame Qiao in front of Madame Tang. Madame Qiao observed the scene, fully aware of her daughter's temperament. She was certain that Xian would face the consequences once they returned to the mansion. With no outsiders present, dealing with Xian would be a simple task. All she had to do was feign ignorance initially and offer consolation later. She could handle the situation before her husband, making it seem like she was addressing the matter appropriately. However, the presence of Shao Yunduan complicated matters. Madame Qiao sneered inwardly. It was fortunate that he was here. The more Shao Yunduan cared for Xian, the more difficult it would be for him to accept the ambiguous relationship between Xian and County Magistrate Yang. Oh, was there really an ambiguous relationship? It didn't matter. If she said there was, then so be it. As long as Shao Yunduan believed in it, that would be sufficient. Moreover, this was just the first step. She had an enormous gift prepared for Xian. Just go home and rest. You don't have to deal with Xian right now. Don't worry, I will seek revenge on your behalf. Just wait a little longer, and I will ensure your comfort. Madame Qiao attempted to dissuade Qiao Wei, putting on a show of concern. County Magistrate Qiao was receiving his son-in-law and Officer Yang, and Madame Qiao was hosting a banquet to greet Madame Tang. But Qiao Wei did not show up. She said that she was not feeling well, so she did not show up. So during the banquet, Madame Qiao asked Xian to keep Madame Tang company while she went to visit Qiao Wei and took Qiao Ko with her. Xian answered with a smile. Madame Tang got displeased, thinking that the Qiao family were also unreliable. Madame Qiao left as the madam of the family and asked Xian to keep her company. What was going on? Faced with Xian, Madame Tang felt so disgusted that she lost her appetite. After a short while, Madame Tang got up and went back to her own room. When Madame Qiao was gone, Auntie Ling was still there. She smiled at Xian. Second miss, what about seeing Madame Tang off? That was how a host should be treated. Xian threw a deep look at Auntie Ling, thought for a while and realized what was going on. She did not mind seeing Madame Tang off, but Auntie Ling's request would definitely bring her trouble, even if she had no idea what Auntie Ling was up to. Chapter 907. Mrs. Qiao's Plan B0's Nvel. CM Auntie Ling was not the kind of person who would remind her of her own accord just to keep her from being rude. Obviously not. So even if she had no idea what was going on, she should definitely object to Auntie Ling's suggestion. Auntie Ling, you can see her off. You are Madame Qiao's auntie, and you speak for her. You are more suitable than me. Auntie Ling stiffened and said seriously, Second miss, don't joke around. I am just a servant, not a madam. That is not how it should be done. That is not true. Everyone knows that Madame Qiao can't live without Auntie Ling. She has to rely on Auntie Ling, you, for everything. No, second miss, don't say that. Oh, Auntie Ling, are you feeling shy about it? Madame Tang felt thoroughly perplexed. What was happening between these two individuals? Were they looking down on her? Why were they suddenly showering her with flattery in her presence? What was the underlying meaning behind it all? Madame Tang sneered and decided to leave without uttering a single word. Regret surged within her, realizing that she should never have accepted Madame Qiao's invitation to visit Heishan County in the first place. Witnessing Madame Tang's departure, Auntie Ling deemed it inappropriate to give chase. With a cold tone she addressed Xian. Second miss, you are displaying an arrogant attitude. Since you are aware of my presence here to attend to Madame, You should acknowledge that my words reflect Madam's intentions. While you may not be physically present, it doesn't mean you can disregard my authority. Second miss, you will have to explain this to Madam at a later time. Xiao narrowed her eyes and focused her gaze on Auntie Ling. Is Madam Qiao planning something by requesting me to escort Madam Tang home? Auntie Ling grew startled. Second miss, please refrain from speaking nonsense. Xiao chuckled. It appears that I have guessed correctly. Since I'm not there, your plan has failed. Now tell me. Second miss, you're being unreasonable. I'm leaving now. Auntie Ling stormed off, seething with anger. Xianxia let out a sigh of relief but couldn't help feeling puzzled and curious. Young madam, I just don't understand. It's simply escorting Madam Tang to her guest room. Right. It's such a short distance. How could it cause ANV trouble? It doesn't make sense. So, what was Madam Qiao's plan? Suddenly, a realization dawned upon Xiao. She smiled calmly. Madam Tang is quite troublesome. The act of sending her home seems to be a hassle. What do you mean? Consider who she is and why my husband is present here. Xianxia blinked, still perplexed. Xiao let out a sigh and proceeded to explain the situation in detail to Xianxia. Finally understanding the full picture, Lixia's anger and anxiety surged. She snorted, Madam Qiao is truly wicked. When Yunduan heard about Xiao spending time with Madam Tang in the middle of the night, he believed that Xiao and Madam Tang were meant to be together. Xiao knew that Yunduan would never want to hear or witness any of this. Madam Qiao had cunningly attempted to drive a wedge between them. It was no wonder Auntie Ling lingered and made such remarks. Xiao pondered for a moment, then turned and headed towards Officer Qiao's study. She sought out Yunduan. It's getting late, father. I've come to fetch my husband. He has been working diligently these days and deserves a long rest at night. It's time for him to return home and take a break. Chapter 908. Misfortune B0's Unwilling. CM Yunduan promptly stood up and spoke with a smile. Father-in-law, Officer Yang, my wife is here to fetch me. I'll take my leave now. County Magistrate Qiao frowned, expressing his dissatisfaction. You're so foolish. A woman should be gentle and virtuous, not casually and indifferently meddling in her husband's affairs. Yunduan responded, Father-in-law, my wife cares about me, and one appreciate that. Please don't blame her. She hasn't done anything wrong. Officer Qiao remained silent. He had such good intentions. He was trying to guide his daughter-in-law, but now he was undermining his own reputation. They were not a harmonious couple in his eyes. In that case, you may depart now. I'll bid you farewell. Yunduan respectfully cupped his hands and left alongside Xiao. County Magistrate Yang couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache as he witnessed the two departing hand in hand. He had come here to assert his superiority, yet he was the one feeling provoked instead. He even began to suspect that the Qiao family's second miss had been having an affair with provincial champion for quite some time, allowing them to fly away together? The more he pondered on it, the more plausible it seemed. He was on the verge of impulsively questioning County Magistrate Qiao about it. If it was their plan, County Magistrate Qiao would either be unaware of it or keep it to himself. There was no need for him to humiliate himself. But within County Magistrate Yang's mind, he had already made a firm decision. He was determined to have a brighter future than Yunduan. He would attain a high position where Yunduan could only look up to him. He was going to make Xiao regret her decision. Inside the room, Yunduan gazed at Xiao, placing his hands on her shoulders. Did you feel wrong today? Xiao shook her head and chuckled. Of course not. I always say that I am Mrs. Provincial Champion. It annoys them so much, hee. Yunduan couldn't help but laugh, his gentle demeanor shining through. You are indeed Mrs. Provincial Champion, the one and only. Yes, Xiao proudly smiled. There will never be another Mrs. Provincial Champion in the Qiao family. They are just envious of me. Yunduan laughed and couldn't resist pulling her into his embrace. Her face nestled against Yunduan's chest, and the cool touch sent a slight shiver through her body. The spot where they made contact began to warm, and she could distinctly hear his strong and steady heartbeat, even through their layers of clothing. Xian felt her ears growing hotter and hotter, and her face flushed with warmth. Pushing him away? That was too much for her to bear. She couldn't bear the embarrassment of reciprocating the hug. Subconsciously, she held her breath, frozen in place, afraid to make any movement. Yunduan was taken aback as well. He didn't overthink the situation. He was simply overwhelmed with excitement and couldn't resist embracing her. Only now did Xian realize what she had done. Guilt washed over her. They had made a promise that until she fully accepted him, he would respect her boundaries and never push her or make her uncomfortable. But was she really pushing him away? It was just too sudden. Yunduan wanted to hold her tighter, but he felt a sudden hesitation. There was a voice inside him telling him to let her go, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. A delicate fragrance enveloped the woman's body, so pleasant to the senses. Her waist was slender and soft, igniting the imagination and prompting thoughts about the sensation of their skins touching. Chapter 909. Regret B0's Nvel. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He couldn't let go of her so easily. Yunduan leaned down and rubbed his chin against Xian's hair, relishing the softness against his skin. Their hearts raced in sync. "My love," Yunduan whispered and couldn't resist planting a gentle kiss on her cheek. Xian was taken aback by the cool, tender touch. She let out a small gasp and instinctively stepped back, breaking free from his embrace. Yunduan was about to reach out to hold her when he stopped himself. A tinge of regret crossed his mind. Why didn't he steal a few more kisses? Inside, Xian felt a jumble of emotions. She hadn't intended to reject him, but she wasn't ready. She worried that he might misunderstand her and feel hurt. With a cautious glance, Xian peeked at Yunduan, relieved to see that he didn't seem angry. Yet, her guilt intensified. "Oh, by the way, did you come here today because of the letter from Manager Qin yesterday?" Xian tried to ease the awkwardness. "Yes," Yunduan nodded in agreement. "I was worried they might gang up and mistreat you." Xian smiled mischievously, gazing up at him with sparkling eyes. "Is that all you were worried about?" Yunduan mirrored her smile. "I was also concerned that the Yang family might have second thoughts and try to fight me for my wife." Xian's heart fluttered with warmth. Her eyes shimmered, and she wore a tender smile. "No one can take them away from us. The Yang family and the Qiao family have no connection to us. We are strangers to them." In this moment, he decided to confess and make his stance clear. She had never met the Yang family before, and she felt like an outsider. Nobody had asked for her opinion or cared about her feelings. If she were to be involved with the Yang family, it would be grossly unfair to her. Yunduan wasn't oblivious to that fact. Yet, hearing Xian's words still filled him with joy. "You're absolutely right. Let's return home tomorrow, all right?" "All right." They exchanged smiles. Yunduan couldn't resist holding her close. "Just take a rest." The next day, County Magistrate Yang and his mother departed. Their expressions were sour as they left, purposely avoiding eye contact with Xian and Yunduan, as if the sight of them was repulsive. Madame Tang fumed, "The Qiao family is bullying us. I finally understand that their invitation was merely a facade, concealing their malicious intentions. What are they trying to prove? My son is a talented official, while Yunduan is just a provincial champion. There's nothing for them to show off. And to think they were the ones who called off the engagement, yet now they're behaving so despicably. I will find you a far superior family, one that surpasses the Qiao family by 1,000-fold. County Magistrate Yang smiled. "Mother, please don't be angry. It's not worth it. As for my marriage, you can make the decision. I'm doing this for my own sake." Madame Tang smiled with satisfaction. "Of course, I'm doing it for your sake." Unable to resist the opportunity, she took another dig at Xian. "The second miss is so impolite and sharp-tongued. She's clearly not a good person. I don't like her at all." Chapter 910. Nothing B0's Nvel. County Magistrate Yang couldn't help but reminisce about the vibrant and beautiful girl, brimming with youthful energy. He forced himself to say,
Mother, please refrain from mentioning her any further.
Madame Tang failed to notice the change in her son's demeanor. She assumed he despised Xian as much as she did. So she nodded with a smile. All right, I won't mention her anymore. She's not worth our attention. As they departed, Xian and Shao Yunduan prepared to leave as well. Madame Qiao, wearing a smile, suggested, "Since you're already here, why not stay a few more days? Yunduan will soon be heading to the capital, and being part of the Qiao family, Old Master can offer you some valuable advice." "Thank you, Mrs. Gut. I will make sure to visit you and bid farewell before we leave. We have many matters to attend to back home, and it's best for us to return as soon as possible." When Shao Yunduan declined her invitation, Madame Qiao's expression stiffened. She exchanged a glance with Xian and sighed. "Yunduan, are you upset? Please don't misunderstand. Old Master and I invited County Magistrate Yang and his mother as our guests, but it's purely a social gathering, nothing more. Xian has already called off the engagement with County Magistrate Yang, and they have no connection whatsoever. Old Master and I can vouch for that. Madame Tang cares for Xian and cares for Junior. That's the extent of it. It's all out of concern, nothing more. Please don't misunderstand her. Otherwise, Xian might feel unjustly treated." Officer Qiao didn't dwell on the matter for too long. Upon hearing Madame Qiao's words, he suddenly realized that it wasn't appropriate to reprimand Xian while County Magistrate Yang and his mother were visiting. However, no matter what he said, it wouldn't make a difference. So he nodded with a dignified expression. "You're absolutely right. We should never lend credence to baseless rumors and accusations." Xian beamed brightly and sweetly. The two of them played their parts perfectly, adding fuel to the fire. Their performance was quite professional. Shao Yunduan remained composed but shot a glance at the pair. "You're exaggerating. I'm not someone who can't differentiate between what's important and what's not. My wife and I are united, and I trust her completely. I have no interest in those who have no connection to me. Yes, I'm not foolish either. I am the wife of the provincial champion, and my husband's future is promising. I wouldn't jeopardize my own prospects by getting entangled with someone I've never even met." "Madame Qiao, you're overthinking. There's no need for you to explain yourself like this." Madame Qiao cursed inwardly, her smile faltering slightly. "Indeed. It's good that Yunduan doesn't entertain suspicions or indulge in baseless speculation." Shao Yunduan affirmed. "No, I have full trust in my wife. It's not so easy for others to sow discord between us." Madame Qiao's smile turned rigid, her frustration growing. Xian chuckled. "Since you trust me this much, I won't let you down." Madame Qiao now realized that these two were conspiring to mock her. She sneered inwardly. Fine then, what was the point of flattering them? Were they truly that devoted to each other? She would wait and see. She simply couldn't believe that any man could endure such a situation without harboring resentment. No man could remain unaffected by such a thing. The seed of doubt had been planted in their hearts, and it would inevitably sprout and grow, sooner or later. Chapter 9-11. Plan for the Year B0's Nvel. CM. What was the rush? Madame Qiao could afford to wait. Shao Yunduan held Xian's hands and bid farewell. "Goodbye." As the two of them left, County Magistrate Qiao expressed his displeasure. "See what trouble you've caused? You shouldn't have brought Xian here." Madame Qiao scoffed, dismissing the guests. "What's wrong with that? Let Xian learn the importance of having her mother's family. Soon enough, she'll realize that a husband cannot be relied upon. If you want to maintain your position as the head of the family, you need to see if your maternal family is strong enough." County Magistrate Qiao was rendered speechless, snorting in frustration as he fell into silence. Madame Qiao felt a shiver in her heart. She didn't know if Xian grasped the situation, but she certainly did. Shao Yunduan and Xian paid a visit to the Zhang village. Dinger Zhu, Ms. Zhou and her husband, as well as housekeeper Mu, were pleasantly surprised. They warmly welcomed them into the house. Mrs. Zhou had completed her mandatory confinement during the first month of the lunar year. She had returned home and was expected to be back soon. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan exchanged a few words with them and inspected the families they had acquired before going to inspect the land with Dinger Zhu and housekeeper Mu. For the time being, the 200 mu of creeping figs was sufficient, and there was no immediate need to open up new land. At the tea house, more than 150 mu of golden buds and nearly 70 mu of purple heart tea were thriving, growing exceptionally well. Once the tea leaves were ready for picking this year, they could begin the process. Both the golden buds and purple fragrance teas were highly valued and could fetch a good price. If processed properly, the high-grade dry tea could sell for dozens of yuan or hundreds of taels of silver per caddy. Although the yield of these 2 tea leaves was not high, Qiao Xian's wood elemental abilities had improved both the quality and quantity of the harvest. Just with these 2 teas alone, their income for the year would see a significant increase. The tea house would continue to expand its operations this year. The land had been purchased the previous year, and initial exploration had been conducted. Qiao Xian instructed Dinger Zhu and housekeeper Mu to organize the remaining 200 mu of land. By the beginning of March, they would transport the tea trees from Shaoding village. Both of them agreed to the plan. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan didn't spend much time inspecting the remaining 300 mu of fertile land. Housekeeper Mu and his staff were accustomed to managing the land, so they could continue doing so. Since there were plenty of fish but no shrimp at home, the two of them decided to take their time and catch 3 to 4 caddies of large shrimps. They put the shrimp in a bamboo basket and kept it within the confinement before heading home. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were discussing the planting plan with a smile on their faces. With their departure scheduled for mid-February, they had limited time remaining and needed to make a comprehensive plan to ensure everything was in order. Following the plan was relatively straightforward. However, Qiao Xian couldn't help but feel a bit down because she wouldn't be present to use her powers. Although she could individually attend to each plant before leaving, she would still miss the opportunity to use her abilities from time to time. She wondered how the roses, pomegranate flowers, monthly flowers, and cinnabar flowers would bloom this year. She hoped their production wouldn't decline too rapidly. As soon as Qiao Xian returned home, the atmosphere became livelier. The scene was filled with joy and activity. The fresh prawns were used to make braised prawns and deep-fried prawn balls. They also steamed a plate of preserved fish, caught 10 small and medium-sized fish, and cooked a pot of pickled vegetable fish. Additionally, they stir-fried winter bamboo shoots and soybean sprouts, creating a balance between the rich flavors of the fish and meat consumed during the spring festival and the inclusion of vegetables. Chapter 9:12. Secretly watched B0's Nvel. CM the following day, the house buzzed with noise and excitement, but Qiao Xian was busy with her tasks. Her main focus was preparing the tea seeds. Though it was still quite cold outside, the bone-chilling air was gradually fading, and the hint of spring was in the air. Qiao Xian didn't have much time to spare as she had to accompany Shao Yunduan to the capital. However, she could manage the cultivation of the seedlings with the help of her superpower. By the end of February and the beginning of March, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan would already have departed from Shaoding village. During that time, Butler Mu and Dinger Zhu had dispatched their workers to transplant the tea trees. In addition to the tea trees, Qiao Xian planned to plant roses, red and blue flowers, pomegranate flowers, and cinnabar flowers. She traveled to Xian province and sought help from Yuezhing Shao to purchase the seedlings. These flowers were ideal for making lipstick and were required in large quantities. Qiao Xian aimed to expand the field by an additional 200 mu this year. Before she and Shao Yunduan left home, the seedlings could be transported to the village. Qiao Xian would use her wood power to protect the seedlings, and Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao could be hired to plant them at a steady pace. With a total of 52 beehives, the blooming of the 200 mu of flowers and trees would require a greater amount of beeswax for making lipstick. Therefore, 52 beehives might not be sufficient. As the grass grew and the centaurea bloomed, the need to separate the beehives became apparent. Fortunately, Qiao Xian had already taught Tao Tao and Shao Sanlang how to share the household provisions. Since Qi and Qiao Xian were not present, Qiao Xian repeatedly reminded them not to venture into the mountains in search of pre-existing wild beehives, as it would be unsafe. With 52 beehives at home, not all of them could be shared, but allocating 10 should not pose a problem. Qiao Xian made it clear that if they ran short of beeswax, it could be omitted. She considered the flowers to be more valuable than the beeswax. Qiao Xian did not underestimate people's intelligence. News of the lipstick-making venture would spread quickly, but she anticipated that it would soon be overshadowed by other matters. The first branch of the Shao family held a prominent position in Shaoding village due to their school and the family's land donations. Moreover, Shao Yunduan's noble status and his connections with the Yuezhing and Xie families in the province made it unlikely for anyone to plot against them. However, there was someone observing them from the shadows. If people learned about the beeswax purchases, they might draw conclusions based on the shape of the lipstick. Xianxia contemplated the idea of monopolizing the market for a few more years, allowing her to amass a fortune. This year, they planned to cultivate up to 200 mu of cassava, which was a straightforward process. They could simply cut and plant it directly. Meanwhile, the others were responsible for tending to the herbs and fruit trees at 500 meters. Before leaving the province, they made sure to visit the papayas and dragon fruits that were planted before the new year. Unfortunately, large-scale cultivation of sugarcane, pineapples, and other crops was not feasible this year. Without Xiaoxian's superpower, even with Yuezhing Shao's assistance in transporting a substantial number of seedlings from the south, there was no guarantee of their survival or proper growth. Before they knew it, the 15th day of the first month had arrived. Following the Lantern Festival, the air was filled with the vibrant essence of spring. These days, the sun was already warm at 500 meters, and diligent families had begun transporting loads of manure into the fields. Qi, Ding Jinshan, and the others gathered in the county city on the first day of February. On the third day of February, they set off northward after assembling people from various counties in the province. Chapter 9:13. Qi's departure B0's Nvel.
The family had made all the necessary preparations for Qi's departure.
Shao Yunduan took some time to read the letter from the Xie family, while Xiaoxian handed him 10,000 liang, instructing him to keep it safe and deposit it in the local bank as soon as possible. Qi expressed her gratitude and eagerly anticipated what the future held. However, as the time for her departure approached, she couldn't help but feel reluctant to leave home. Ms. Fang, on the other hand, became even more distressed when Qi was away. She grew absent-minded and sighed frequently. Yet, she concealed her emotions well in front of Qi, showing no signs of her inner turmoil. It wasn't until the day of their departure that Ms. Fang finally couldn't hold back her tears, embracing Qi tightly. In turn, Qi burst into tears as well. Shao Yunduan, Shao Sanlang, and Qiao Xian stepped forward, attempting to console Ms. Fang. Yang Xiaoni and Qiao Xian provided support as well. Qi performed 3 kowtows to her mother and eldest uncle before getting on the donkey cart with Ding Jinshan. Shao Yunduan and Shao Sanlang accompanied them to the county city. County Magistrate Qiao remained oblivious to the fact that Shao Yunduan's brother had been enlisted. The county magistrate showed little concern for the recruitment process, trusting that with enough people and the household registration verified by the Grandmaster, he could simply affix the seal and send them to the provincial town. That would complete his duty. Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian chose not to disclose any information to him. She realized that keeping silent was the best course of action. Madame Qiao was known for using manipulative tactics, and engaging in any form of confrontation would only invite trouble. Therefore, Qi chose to refrain from speaking up. Qi seamlessly blended in with the others and was transported to the provincial capital before heading north. In Qi's absence, the atmosphere at home became notably lackluster. It felt as if a vital presence was missing, leaving a void in the household. They used to venture into the mountains regularly to hunt and gather resources, always filled with enthusiasm and joy. However, with Qi gone, the idea of going into the mountains no longer crossed their minds. Even Qiao Xian, with her extraordinary abilities, couldn't find the motivation without Qi's presence. To worsen matters, Ms. Niu, known for her arrogance, took the opportunity to mock them. She approached Ms. Fang with a strange tone, insinuating, "Oh my, Qi will be gone for years once he's enlisted. Your family used to have an abundance of wild animals, but now they're all gone. If one were you, I wouldn't have allowed Qi to leave home." Ms. Fang grew increasingly irritated by her remarks, eventually driving her out of the house. She firmly retorted, "What does my family's affairs have to do with you? You'll never get a share of any wild animals. They were just ordinary people from the clan. Why did they care?" Ms. Niu stormed off in anger, feeling humiliated by the encounter. Meanwhile, Ms. Yen chose to keep her distance, knowing it was futile to reason with Ms. Niu. She was well aware of Ms. Niu's personality and understood that engaging with her would only lead to more trouble. It was best to avoid her altogether.
The departure of Qi had left a somber mood among the members of the first section of the family.
Their frustrations found an outlet in the form of venting their anger at others. A few days later, Shao Yunduan and Xianxia prepared to leave home and make their way to the capital. If Shao Yunduan successfully passed the intermediate examination, he intended to return home. While his family might be reluctant to part with him, they would undoubtedly shower him with congratulations. Ms. Fong and eldest uncle did their best to comfort Shao Yunduan, assuring him not to be overly nervous and emphasizing that regardless of the outcome, everyone was eagerly awaiting his return home. Chapter 9:14. Not hearing B0's Nvel. CM the land officer, elder men, and many villagers gathered to bid farewell to Shao Yunduan, offering their well wishes and blessings. Their hopes were vested in Shao Yunduan's success in the intermediate examination. Being from the same family and village, his achievements would bring benefits not only to himself but also to the entire community. With an advanced scholar old master and an officer within their ranks, neighboring villages would think twice before bullying their villagers. However, third uncle, though present, remained distant and appeared visibly displeased. His lack of involvement was noticeable. Ms. Ma, who typically enjoyed spectacles, was conspicuously absent, along with Shao Lulang. Even third uncle's presence seemed solely due to his reputation.
The third section of the family was seethed with anger.
Shao Lulang's failure to pass the intermediate examination had fostered resentment toward the first section of the family. He believed they had let him down. Shao Lulang had undergone a transformation, striving harder than before. Yet, the presence of Shao Yunduan in the capital still affected him, leading to frequent bouts of irritability and temper tantrums. Third uncle and Ms. Ma were deeply concerned about Shao Lulang's state. One day, Ms. Ma attempted to console Shao Lulang, but before she could mention Shao Yunduan's name, she was abruptly interrupted by his outburst. Shao Lulang's frustrations reached a boiling point. His emotional turmoil escalated as Shao Yunduan drew closer to the capital, rendering him unable to control his own emotions. Both third uncle and Ms. Ma were genuinely concerned and fearful for Shao Lulang's well-being. They tiptoed around any mention of Shao Yunduan or the first section of the family, as if walking on eggshells. As a result, Shao Lulang's resentment toward the first section of the family grew even stronger. Additionally, a few days ago, Shao Meiji and her husband had returned home, proposing a business partnership with the first section of the family. However, the family outright rejected their offer, suspecting them of trying to swindle their money. They were deemed miserly in their response. This incident further fueled Shao Lulang's animosity.
When the entire inn was accounted for, it became evident that Ms. Ma and third uncle held a growing aversion toward the first section of the family.
Just wait and see. Ms. Ma believed that her hard-working son would eventually surpass Shao Yunduan in the future. At that point, the Shao family and Shao Yunduan would have to fear them. Upon arriving in the county city, Xian and Shao Yunduan made a visit to the Qiao family. County Magistrate Qiao enthusiastically insisted that Xian and Shao Yunduan should stay at the office for the night. Having eaten breakfast at home and bid farewell to their family and villagers, they arrived at a location not far away from the county city, where they would spend the night before continuing their journey to the province. Although County Magistrate Qiao tried his best to persuade them to stay, Xian and Shao Yunduan exchanged a glance and agreed. Since they were on the same side, there was no need to separate men and women during dinner. County Magistrate Qiao was in high spirits at the dinner table, wearing a bright smile as he urged Shao Yunduan to drink with him and provided him with advice for the journey ahead. He even mentioned that he would write a letter that night and hand it to Shao Yunduan the next morning. He assured him that upon reaching the capital, he could rely on the Qiao family's support. Shao Yunduan responded perfunctorily, but in reality, he had no intention of seeking assistance from the Qiao family. He found his father-in-law quite intriguing. If County Magistrate Qiao was genuinely willing to offer the letter, why hadn't he prepared it in advance? Why was he writing it for him that very night? After dinner, County Magistrate Qiao invited Shao Yunduan to his study, claiming that he would provide more detailed information. However, Madame Qiao stopped Xianxia before she could join them. Shao Yunduan will only have one page boy to assist him while he is in the capital, and that won't be sufficient. Should you assign Li Xia or Li Qiao to accompany him? Chapter 9:15. Unsage B0's Nvel. CM. It doesn't matter who accompanies him. It's just a maid who might not be the most refined. The capital is different from other places, and he might become a subject of ridicule. I'm sure you don't want to see him being laughed at, do you? Madame Qiao remarked with concern. Xian struggled to contain her laughter, finding Madame Qiao's pretentious behavior amusing. I'm sure you must have come up with a brilliant idea for us, right? Madame Qiao felt a twinge of unease as she sneered. Of course, as your elders, it's our duty to make plans for you. She shot a meaningful glance at Xian. Soon, Auntie Ling appeared with a beautiful 16-year-old girl who possessed a slender waist and delicate shoulders. Greetings, madam. The girl greeted with a soft and seductive voice. Her allure and charm were evident the moment she spoke. Dressed in apricot-colored attire, her slender waist added to her captivating appearance. Xian understood what was happening. Before Madame Qiao could say anything, Xian smiled and said, "Are you the maid and concubine that Madame Qiao has prepared for my husband? How thoughtful of you." Madame Qiao wore a proud expression, a glimmer of amusement in her eyes. "Since you already understand that so clearly, there's no need for me to say more. This girl is genuinely kind and considerate. You can rest assured that she will serve you well." Xian and Shao Yunduan had deliberately kept their plans of bringing her to the capital a secret from County Magistrate Qiao and Madame Qiao. However, Xian had no intention of revealing anything yet, so she responded with a smile, "What if I refuse?" Madame Qiao sneered, her voice laced with disdain. "That would mean he is not a good man. Shao Yunduan treats you well, but you are dissatisfied, aren't you? Yet, he is the provincial champion with a promising future ahead of him. He will have many people vying for his attention. Inxing is insignificant, and you can't bear it anymore, can you? There will come a time when you won't be able to endure it any longer. Compared to other family backgrounds, Inxing is a gift from your mother's side. If we stand together, we should be superior to others. Do you understand what your mother's family can do for you? When a woman gets married and her son grows up to become a successful man, who else can she rely on but her maternal relatives? As long as your mother's family supports you, your husband won't be able to threaten your position, no matter how successful he becomes or how many concubines he takes. Only then can you elevate your status and become an esteemed couple. Otherwise, you'll be disregarded and subjected to torment." Xian, do you finally understand? Xian's disdain towards her didn't bother Madame Qiao. She was determined to do so, though Xian despised her. "What you've grasped now," Xian replied with a smile, "doesn't change my decision to disregard your suggestions. Don't waste your efforts." "Xian, you are truly foolish." "That's my prerogative." "You." "Fine then, let's see what befalls you when you face ruin." Xian smiled in response. "We'll see soon enough. Just because you fail doesn't mean others will. You used to suffer, but now you're trying to impose it on me. Madame Qiao, you've crafted a splendid plan. If Inxing is such a fine girl, why don't you take her as a concubine for your daughter's husband once she gets married?" "Enough!" Madame Qiao snapped. Madame Qiao erupted in anger, her gaze fixed on Xian. How could Xian be compared to her own daughter? Her daughter shouldn't endure such humiliation. That is not for you to decide. Auntie Ling, bring Inxing to the study of the old master and ensure she serves second miss. Husband diligently. Chapter 9:16. Born B0's Nvel.
CM Madame Qiao made the order as she was standing in front of her.
"Okay, Madame Qiao," Auntie Ling responded, her face devoid of emotion. She didn't even spare a glance at Xian as she led away the captivating Inxing, who exuded an irresistible charm. Inxing observed the heated exchange between Madame Qiao and Xian, maintaining her composure. She even cast a seductive glance at Xian, her smile filled with sweetness. Xian returned her gaze and marveled at Madame Qiao's discerning eye. Where did she discover such a remarkable talent? Inxing possessed an extraordinary mental fortitude. It seemed as though Inxing was destined to be this way, born with these qualities. Madame Qiao must have invested significant effort to acquire such a woman. Madame Qiao also felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She pondered the diverse range of skills possessed by second Mrs. Yuezhing, recognizing that ordinary individuals would struggle to secure someone like Yinxing. She firmly believed that a woman like Yinxing could easily bring Daven Shao Yunduan, who had recently received a promotion. Madame Qiao, who had been closely observing Qiao Xian, was taken aback when Auntie Ling whisked Yinxing away. She couldn't help but sneer.
Elle thought you would try to stop me.
Qiao Xian raised her eyebrows.
Why should I stop you? True, you can't stop them.
Qiao Xian got up. Nothing else. I am going back to my room to take a break. She had the power to intervene if she wished, but she didn't need to. She might not be able to stop her, but her husband certainly could. If her husband couldn't resist such a minor temptation and couldn't resolve this trivial issue, then she had little hope for him. The path ahead was long, and this was just the beginning. Madame Qiao stared at her and spoke coldly. I will arrange for someone to escort you back to your room. Rest well and refrain from causing any trouble. Qiao Xian chuckled.
I'm flattered that you're so afraid of me.
Madame Qiao glared. If you don't know how to speak, then it's best to stay silent. It was no wonder Madame Qiao held such disdain for Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian retreated to her room and awaited Shao Yunduan's return. She had confidence in herself and in Shao Yunduan, but she still felt a twinge of worry and unease. What if? Qiao and Xiao exchanged worried glances.
Young madam, what if I go out and check on the study?
Xiao suggested. Qiao Xian turned to Xiao and smiled. And what if you stumble upon something you shouldn't? Well, Xiao hesitated, feeling a sense of panic. Indeed, what would happen? She was just a maid, with no control over the actions of the household's master. Young madam, I have faith in Fifth Master. He treats you so well. Yinxing is not a good person.
Fifth Master will surely ignore her.
True. Qiao and Xiao chimed in, attempting to console Qiao Xian. During moments of anxiety, words of comfort provided solace. Even if they knew it wasn't entirely practical, it still brought a sense of warmth and reassurance to their hearts. Qiao Xian felt a slight sense of relief, her smile returning. Yes, you're right. My husband will never disappoint me. It's getting late now. You can go and rest. Chapter 9:17. Stunning World B0's Nvel. CM Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were never required to be on night duty. Normally, Xiao and Qiao would have already retired to their rooms for a break at this hour. The two maids exchanged a glance, unsure of what to do. Qiao Xian chuckled. Just go, I'll wait for my husband. Her tone dripped with disdain. With nothing to discuss or attend to in Shao Yunduan's absence, what was the point of staying there? Xiao and Qiao smiled and departed. As the night wore on, Qiao Xian sat quietly under the soft glow of the light, eagerly awaiting Shao Yunduan's return and the future they envisioned together. That was the sight that greeted Shao Yunduan as he pushed open the door. In the dim yellow light, there sat a woman radiating grace and tenderness. She turned at the sound of his entrance, an immediate smile gracing her face. Her pale complexion seemed to glow, and her eyes sparkled with brightness. She rose to her feet, her waist slender and her eyes shimmering. Like a peony blossoming under the moon, she exuded elegance. Shao Yunduan stood awestruck by the scene before him. Darling! Shao Yunduan's heart melted, and he rushed forward, stumbling slightly. Having consumed a fair amount of alcohol to ensure his father-in-law got drunk, he was now feeling a bit intoxicated. Qiao Xian's spirits lifted upon seeing him finally return. She had not been mistaken about him. But upon closer inspection, this man appeared far from normal, tongue-tied and stumbling. He resembled a man under the influence. Qiao Xian greeted him and assisted him in getting up, immediately detecting the strong scent of alcohol, which she didn't particularly appreciate. Nevertheless, a surge of happiness filled her heart. Guiding him to a seat, she asked, "How much have you had to drink? Are you feeling uncomfortable?"
"No, I'm fine,"
Shao Yunduan replied, seated on the couch and leaning against her. He smiled and said, "Officer Qiao drank even more." Qiao Xian couldn't help but laugh and sigh simultaneously. "Let's not talk about him. I'll get you some water. Drink some water and let's go to bed. We can talk in the morning." "Okay," Shao Yunduan mumbled, still relying on Qiao Xian for support. He seemed quite intoxicated. He had been struggling to stay awake, but upon seeing his wife, his vigilance waned, and he gradually succumbed to the effects of the alcohol. Xianxia guided him to the bed. "Darling, wake up. Let me help you lie down." Yunduan nodded drowsily, briefly opened his eyes to glance at Xianxia, then lowered his head, allowing her to guide him forward. Once he was lying down, he grasped onto Xianxia's hands and muttered, "Darling, I didn't pay any attention to that woman. I didn't do anything to betray you." Xianxia's heart melted, and she couldn't help but break into a bright smile. "Really? That woman is so beautiful. You don't find her appealing?" "Darling. Beautiful. I like." He trailed off, closing his eyes, his breathing deep and steady. It was evident he had fallen asleep. Looking at him, Xianxia couldn't contain her laughter. She playfully pinched his cheek. It was incredibly easy to pinch. Her heart skipped a beat, and she instinctively glanced around before leaning down and planting a quick kiss on his cheek. Chapter 9:18. Sleep B0's Nvel. Xianxia's heart skipped a beat, her cheeks flushing with warmth. She couldn't help but cover her face with her hands, feeling a mix of embarrassment and delight. How could she have done such a thing? Slowly removing her hands from her face, she found herself stealing another glance at the man beside her. A sweet shyness enveloped her, accompanied by a sense of pride. How could her man be so amazing? Lost in her own thoughts, Xianxia pondered for a moment before deciding to fetch some water. Once the intoxicated man had been given half a cup of warm Zavator, Xianxia settled down beside him. With concerns about Yunduan's potential discomfort from the alcohol and their upcoming journey the following morning, Xianxia held his hands and gradually transferred her own superpower into his body, bit by bit. Since her superpower had the ability to detoxify and unblock meridians, perhaps it could help eliminate the effects of the wine. It couldn't hurt to try, after all. Madame Qiao's men had been monitoring Xianxia's whereabouts for half the night. Seeing that she hadn't left or caused any trouble, Madame Qiao felt reassured. Xianxia held little significance in her own domain. She was merely a sharp-tongued woman. What else could she possibly do? Satisfied with her decision, Madame Qiao drifted into a deep sleep. She instructed 2 elderly women to keep watch over Xianxia's residence. However, despite it being mid-February with the sun shining brightly during the day, the nights remained chilly. The wind blew, and Xianxia shivered in the brisk air. Given Madame Qiao's confidence and the fact that they were only assigned to keep an eye on Xianxia, the 2 elderly women decided not to endure the entire night in the cold winds outside her courtyard. The couple spent some time together before returning to bed. At such a late hour, everyone was fast asleep, and Second Miss had no intention of leaving the house again. Thus, they missed the sight of Shao Yunduan's return home. The backyard of the county office remained peaceful throughout the night. The next morning, Xianxia and Shao Yunduan woke up. Shao Yunduan was pleasantly surprised to see Xianxia's gentle smile, which made him even happier. He rubbed his forehead, feeling a sense of well-being and vitality. Xianxia had worried that she might wake up feeling unwell or dizzy after having too much to drink the previous night. However, she felt perfectly fine. No discomfort at all. He felt both relieved and amazed, realizing that he had underestimated his tolerance for alcohol. It turned out that he could handle his drink quite well. Irrespective of everything, it is getting late, and we must depart soon. Xianxia chose not to bring up Yunxing, as her husband had returned home alone, indicating that nothing had transpired. There was no need to mention it. However, Shao Yunduan felt compelled to explain. "Oh, by the way, I had no other option but to get Officer Qiao drunk so that Miss Yunxing could stay and take care of him." "What?" Xianxia was taken aback. She quickly covered her mouth, bursting into laughter and wearing a bright smile. "Darling, you are so clever. Ha ha ha." She had misunderstood the situation. She had assumed her husband would refuse the ginkgo, but instead, he declined it and gave it to Officer Qiao. Chapter 9:19. Hated B0's Nvel. When Madame Qiao found out about this, there would undoubtedly be a spectacle to witness. Xianxia wondered if Madame Qiao would seek help from her own family to address the situation. It seemed that karma had caught up with them swiftly. and Qiao Xian couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Observing Qiao Xian's cheerful smile, Shao Yunduan also smiled. "Darling, should we leave the Qiao family as soon as possible?" Qiao Xian paused her laughter and pondered for a moment before shaking her head with a smile. "Let's stay and enjoy the show. I'm eager to see how my birth mother reacts." Shao Yunduan nodded. "All right." He couldn't help but feel repulsed. "We can't just let them off the hook." Shao Yunduan was truly at a loss for words. He despised Yinxing, who was casting provocative looks at him. In his eyes, such a woman was nothing more than shameless, lacking self-respect.
The sight of them made him feel utterly disgusted.
He hadn't liked it when his father-in-law asked Yinxing to drink with him, but he didn't think he had the authority to intervene. However, when his father-in-law instructed Yinxing to serve him, he firmly refused. Yet his father-in-law merely smiled and claimed it was a concubine he was offering him. He persistently insisted on bringing Yinxing to the capital, stating it would be a great honor to do so. It was absolutely repulsive.
Despite repeatedly rejecting the proposition, his father-in-law believed he was pretending and continued to insist on bestowing Yinxing upon him.
That shameless Yinxing attempted to sit beside him with a flirtatious smile, but he pushed her away, unable to bear it. But she continued to pester him with a shameless smile. Shao Yunduan sneered inwardly. He pretended to spill wine on his clothes, and took the opportunity to scold Yinxing, blaming her for not serving her well. He even forced her to leave the table and kneel down to reflect. Yinxing was a talent in this field. She apologized with tears in her eyes and did not defend herself. She knew that she was just a plaything, and it did not matter if she was right or wrong. What mattered was that if her master said that she was wrong, then she was wrong. If she apologized and begged for forgiveness, her mistress would forgive her out of guilt. And if she defended herself, she would make her mistress even more furious. But was Shao Yunduan someone who would feel guilty and forgive her? Of course not. Shao Yunduan ordered her to kneel down, so she had no choice but to do so. County Magistrate Qiao smiled and told Shao Yunduan not to blame the beauty. She knew that she was wrong, but that did not make Shao Yunduan soften his heart. County Magistrate Qiao said nothing more. He believed that Shao Yunduan was just opening gambit to take someone notched down, establishing an imposing air or advantageous position for oneself. Shao Yunduan tried to get County Magistrate drunk. Shao Yunduan asked Yinxing to get up and helped County Magistrate Qiao to lie down. Then he said to Yinxing coldly, "You can choose to become County Magistrate Qiao's concubine. With your abilities, it should not be difficult for you to survive in the Qiao family's backyard. You can also choose to follow me, but I will turn you down. I can turn you down, and even if one can't turn you down, I will ruin your face and feed you a bowl of soup that determines your pregnancy whatsoever. Think about it." Yinxing felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. She felt cold all over. Her charming face turned pale. She had thought that with her looks, figure and skills, Shao Yunduan could be taken down easily. Chapter 920. Absurd B0's Nvel. CM. But as Yinxing gazed into Shao Yunduan's cold and emotionless eyes, and felt the lingering ache in her legs from kneeling for over half an hour, she couldn't doubt the sincerity in his words. Every word he spoke was true. He truly had no interest in her. Yinxing felt a mix of fear and disbelief swirling within her. Despite knowing it was inappropriate, she couldn't resist asking Shao Yunduan, "Fifth Master, what is wrong with me?" "Why?" Yinxing boldly posed this question, her charm and pitiful demeanor on full display.
Shao Yunduan remained unmoved, his tone icy as he replied, "There is nothing appealing about you."
Did she think that every man in the world would be captivated by her? How absurd.
In his eyes, she was nothing more than an alluring yet hollow woman.
Even if a man claimed to like her, he would ultimately treat her as a mere plaything. Shao Yunduan didn't even bother to compare her to his wife, for she wasn't worthy of being mentioned in the same breath. Yinxing felt a surge of displeasure, but she refrained from asking any further.
She knew there was nothing to gain from pressing him.
This man wasn't lying about his dislike for her. For the first time, Yinxing felt a deep sense of shame when facing a man. She clenched her teeth and shifted her attention to County Magistrate Qiao, who lay unconscious on the couch. That was her only option. If she couldn't become County Magistrate's woman tonight, Madame Qiao would ensure she had no chance at all. Madame Qiao would seek to destroy her. County Magistrate Qiao, although a minor official and advancing in age, at least offered some prospect of being a part of the family. Yinxing, young and beautiful, would always have a place by his side. It was better than having no future and remaining in ignorance. Shao Yunduan observed Yinxing's gaze as she turned to County Magistrate Qiao, and he remained indifferent. Unable to resist, Yinxing asked, "Fifth Master, do you look down on me?" She maintained her pitiful demeanor, appearing even weaker and sadder than before, eliciting sympathy from men. Yinxing had a calculated plan. If Shao Yunduan couldn't help but soften his heart, she would notice and throw herself into his arms, weeping and pleading for comfort. The outcome would then be entirely different. However, Shao Yunduan merely cast a peculiar look at her and responded, "Why should I look down on you?" Yinxing found herself at a loss for words. She understood Shao Yunduan's implication. "Who are you to me? What significance do you hold in my life? Your actions are your own concern. Why should I look down on you?" Bitterness filled Yinxing's smile, stirring a whirlwind of emotions within her. It didn't feel pleasant. She had assumed that all men were alike, but that assumption was proven wrong. Chapter 921. Get out B0's Nvel. CM At that moment, a surge of jealousy washed over Yinxing. She couldn't help but feel envious of Qiao Xian's fortunate circumstances. Soon after, Shao Yunduan departed. He had no curiosity about what transpired in the room after he left. All he knew was that he needed to return to his wife promptly. The alcohol he consumed weighed heavily on him, causing a slight dizziness he could no longer tolerate. After Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan finished freshening up, they went to bid farewell to Madame Qiao. County Magistrate Qiao remained asleep in the study. Madame Qiao was pleased to learn they had come to say their goodbyes, but when they stood before her as if nothing had happened, she furrowed her brow. "Where is Yinxing?" "Xian, now that Yinxing has become Yunduan's woman, you should treat her well and fulfill your duties as a proper wife." "Madame Qiao, please refrain from making baseless assumptions." Qiao Xian smiled. "Yinxing may have become my father's new concubine. Madame Qiao, you can send someone to the study to confirm. As a proper wife, I assure you one will treat concubine Yinxing with kindness." "What do you mean?" Madame Qiao's heart sank as she glared at the couple. Shao Yunduan spoke up. "Elle drank excessively last night, so I retired to my room. Yinxing is tending to my father-in-law in the study." Madame Qiao remained speechless. A chill ran down Madame Qiao's spine. "Fine, fine. How dare you?" Qiao Xian responded calmly. "If my father fancies her, let him keep her. It's pleasant to have a beautiful concubine by his side, providing comfort and delight. You needn't worry about my husband. I will keep him company in the capital." "Madame Qiao, just leave." Madame Qiao stormed out in anger, paying no attention to Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan as she made her way straight to Officer Qiao's study. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan exchanged glances and chuckled. Qiao Xian spoke, "Seems like nobody has the time to entertain us. Let's go." "Agreed." The two of them departed from the county office's backyard, leaving the scattered chicken feathers behind. County Magistrate Qiao basked in satisfaction after the night's events. He felt rejuvenated, as if he had shed a decade's worth of burden in a single night. The feeling was invigorating. County Magistrate Qiao woke up at dawn and immediately understood the reason for his elevated spirits. He had held his alcohol well and hadn't passed out the previous day. Madame Qiao stormed to the door, her anger palpable, nearly startling County Magistrate Qiao. It was about to become quite lively. Madame Qiao's fury reached its peak, leading to a heated argument with County Magistrate Qiao and a desperate attempt to harm Yinxing. Initially, County Magistrate had harbored a hint of guilt, but Madame Qiao's words kindled an intense rage within him. While he respected Madame Qiao as the matriarch, it didn't grant her free rein to act as she pleased. Chapter 922. Unwilling B0's Nvel. CM County Magistrate Qiao, frustrated with the situation, snapped at Madame Qiao instead. Madame Qiao found herself powerless against Yinxing, who enjoyed the protection of her husband. Yinxing knew that her sole supporter was County Magistrate Qiao. After what she had done to Madame Qiao, She suspected that Madame Qiao wanted her dead. Yunxing was no concubine due she possessed youth, beauty, and a cunning nature. In a calculated move, Xiao wept before County Magistrate Qiao, feigning weakness and eliciting his pity. County Magistrate Qiao, having finally found such a captivating woman, refused to relinquish the pleasure he had been denied for so long. Furthermore, Qiao Xian's revelations had dispelled any illusions he held about his wife's virtuousness. Therefore, he took precautions and ensured the safety of concubine Yunxing. Madame Qiao's annoyance grew to unprecedented levels. She was consumed by anger. Her fury was so intense that she contemplated sabotaging her own position. She refused to give up until she dealt with Yunxing. However, time and again, she failed in her endeavors. Thus, County Magistrate Qiao's household became a hotbed of tension and conflict. His wife and concubine engaged in heated battles. Concubine Du took pleasure in Madame Qiao's misfortune. Although she couldn't openly act against Madame Qiao, she constantly fed information to concubine Xing, further exacerbating Madame Qiao's distress. Madame Qiao directed her anger towards Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan, attempting to take it out on the innocent members of the Shao family. However, County Magistrate Qiao remained vigilant. Madame Qiao found it difficult to exert her authority in the governmental office, and not everyone in the household obeyed her commands. No sooner had she given an order than County Magistrate Qiao was informed of her actions. County Magistrate held on to hope for Shao Yunduan and was determined to prevent any offense against him. Madame Qiao had only Auntie Ling and a few trusted men by her side. However, their expedition to Shaoding village yielded no advantage. The land officer would handle matters concerning the first section of the Shao family. Before their departure, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan shared a few additional details with Ms. Fong. Auntie Ling had no intention of deceiving anyone. Madame Qiao grew increasingly infuriated. Unable to find an outlet for her anger, she caught a cold and fell ill. In May, when County Magistrate Qiao traveled to the capital, he was still unwell. The county magistrate even suggested that she stay in the county to recover, with Qiao Wei taking care of her. They could join him in the capital once she regained her health. However, before he could finish speaking, Madame Qiao snapped at him. Madame Qiao persistently referred to concubine Xing as a derogatory term, likely an idea planted by concubine Xing herself. She continued to curse County Magistrate Qiao. She was adamant about not staying behind with her daughter for recuperation. Clenching her teeth, she resolved to accompany them to the capital. Things began to improve as they journeyed onward. Her condition improved slightly, but her body was weakening. Fatigue had taken its toll, leaving her lacking energy and frayed nerves. Qiao Xian was taken aback the next time he saw her. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan reached the province in the evening and settled in at the Yuezhing family's residence. Aware that their arrival was imminent, First Madam had already made arrangements for their accommodations. She held genuine affection for Qiao Xian, and if Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian treated her as an outsider, it would deeply hurt her. They spent 3 days in the province, during which Qiao Xian and Yuezhing Shao decided to purchase tea leaves, snow fungus, and lipsticks. Yuezhing Shao could arrange for someone to directly buy these items from Shaoding village. Chapter 923. Kindness B0's Nvel. CM. As the days grew warmer, the dessert store's business was bound to improve. With fresh cassava powder, creeping figs, dragon fruits, papayas, and other fruits, along with a sufficient supply of fresh milk from the Xia family, the business was poised to flourish. Qiao Xian couldn't oversee this matter, so Yuezhing Shao had to take charge of it. Qiao Xian went to inspect the dragon fruits and papayas that were planted at the end of the previous year. Thanks to the mild winter, the papayas had begun sprouting leaves, while the dragon fruits looked healthy and green. Having endured the winter without any frost, they had thrived. Qiao Xian utilized her superpower to help them gather energy and vitality, ensuring that they would sprout leaves and bear fruit as the weather turned warmer. By the time she and Shao Yunduan returned from the capital, the papayas and dragon fruits should be bearing fruit in abundance, shouldn't they? Regrettably, sugarcane and pineapples couldn't be planted this year. However, the blooming and fruit-bearing potential of lychees, longans, and mangoes depended on this year. If they flourished, they could be planted on a larger scale next year, and by then, sugarcane and pineapples could also be cultivated. Especially sugarcane, which could be used to make sugar. Within her space cabin, The system could identify the most advanced sugar-making processes and the necessary tools and equipment, offering yet another way to generate quick income. 3 days later, the caravan set off for the capital. Xian, Shao Yunduan, Xia, Qiao, and Xianxia were accompanied by Shao Yunduan's friends, Lu Min and Gu Zhio, who were also recommended men. They would travel together, providing mutual support and companionship in the capital. Lu Min and Gu Zhio were already aware of Shao Yunduan's close relationship with the wealthy Yuezhing family, the young master of the Xie family, and the prosperous Shao family. They were astounded. They hadn't anticipated having such a powerful ally by their side. Shao Yunduan appeared to maintain a low profile. Rather than feeling envious of Shao Yunduan, Lu Min and Gu Zhio admired him. They recognized that Shao Yunduan came from a respectable family and possessed admirable qualities of being advanced, modest, and gentle. They couldn't help but admire him. Their admiration for Shao Yunduan wasn't based solely on his wealth. They continued to hang out with him as they had before. A genuine appreciation grew between them. Shao Yunduan had a keen eye for choosing his friends. However, if Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were to learn that Lu Min and Gu Zhio saw Shao Yunduan as a low-profile rich man's son, they would find it amusing and bewildering. Those words held no truth in their relationship. On the day of their departure, First Madam bid them farewell alongside Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong. First Madam couldn't help but grasp Qiao Xian's hands, advising her not to be afraid of any trouble she might encounter. She asked Qiao Xian to relay a message to the northwest, where the Yuezhing family store was located. It was not too far from the capital, and it might prove helpful. Qiao Xian felt deeply moved. With a smile, she expressed her gratitude and asked First Madam to take care of herself as well. The caravan was led by a boss named Tang. Observing the high regard shown to Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan by the Yuezhing family and the Xie family, Boss Tang developed even greater respect for them. They all treated the recommended men and the older masters with reverence, as if they were their own ancestors. Chapter 924. To the capital B0's Nvel. CM Qiao Xian, Shao Yunduan, Lu Nian, and Gu Zhio were not arrogant individuals. On the contrary, they were kind-hearted and did not want to burden others with their presence. They covered their own expenses for food and accommodation, ensuring they didn't take advantage of the caravan. Instead, they would stop for a day and a half upon reaching large towns, purchasing local specialties like candied fruits, fried goods, pastries, roasted chicken, and braised meat to treat everyone. Qiao Xian even instructed Xia, Qiao, and Xianxia to distribute red packets to every member of the caravan based on the position of the recommended men and older masters. They gave the most to Boss Tang, with 30 liang, and at least 2 liang to the laborers, considering it a symbol of good luck. The caravan members were delighted to see their generosity, which led to a significant improvement in friendliness and camaraderie. Initially, some individuals expressed concerns about the scholars joining the caravan, fearing they would be burdened with additional responsibilities. However, all such worries vanished. Boss Tang and the other leaders felt a deep sense of gratitude and even treated them to 2 meals at a restaurant to express their guilt. Lu Min and Gu Zhio privately expressed their gratitude to Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, praising them for their thoughtfulness. They even proposed gathering together. Without the support and consideration of Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, they wouldn't have been able to enjoy such freedom during the journey. The trip was remarkably relaxing. Merchants differed from businessmen. Merchants could simply wait in their shops for customers to arrive, while businessmen had to travel long distances and sleep under the open sky. Each journey was challenging, so they made efforts to carry as many goods as possible. Consequently, they didn't travel at a fast pace. Fortunately, the caravan was well established, and they had predetermined places to eat and rest along their route. Shao Yunduan estimated that they would reach the state of Zheng by early March. At that point, their journey with the caravan would come to an end. From the northern part of the state of Zheng, the official road was wide and smooth, without any remote areas to traverse. They could hire a few individuals from the state Zhang Wagon Company to accompany them for the final stretch, reaching the capital in just 3 or 4 days. The spring examination was scheduled for late April, allowing them ample time for adjustments. Their success in the spring examination did not hinge on their current pace. They were already well prepared. During their leisurely journey, they could engage in reading, discuss various articles, and work on their drafts within the confines of the wagon. Everyone remained calm, engaging in conversations and laughter without any sense of urgency. Xian eagerly anticipated the trip. It was her first time embarking on such a long journey, and she didn't feel the need to rush. Instead, she embraced the scenic views along the way, relishing the experience that expanded her horizons. Being seasoned businesspeople, they had encountered many things in their line of work. They shared stories about customs and interesting incidents they had witnessed over the past few years. While they didn't take everything too seriously, it was still highly intriguing. Xian displayed a genuine interest in their tales. After leaving the province, they traveled for 4 consecutive days. Besides staying at the finest hotel, they pushed forward until they reached a bustling and vibrant town. They intended to stay in this town for a day to replenish their supplies and exchange goods. The members of the caravan enthusiastically introduced them to the town's unique delicacies and captivating sights, inviting them to explore and indulge. Xian couldn't contain her excitement and eagerly anticipated savoring the local culinary delights. Sensing the couple's enthusiasm, Lu Min and Gu Zhio smiled understandingly and discreetly left them alone. Chapter 925. Potato discovered B0's Nvel. Despite having limited time, they managed to explore the town thoroughly within a day. Shao Yunduan accompanied Xian to visit the local markets, including the flower and bird markets, as well as the dry goods markets. In return, Xian accompanied him to browse through the bookstores. During lunchtime, they dined at a restaurant where the roasted chicken and an unfamiliar fish dish stood out for their exceptional flavors. Xian also stumbled upon some unique glutinous rice and flour-based cakes, which were a novelty compared to what she had encountered in the province. She purchased some and shared them with Wuxia and the others. One thing that left Xian feeling a tinge of regret was the lack of new items in the market, and the limited expansion possibilities for small vegetable fields and orchards at the moment. However, her confidence remained unwavering. She was certain they would come across new opportunities along their journey. As expected, during the subsequent part of their journey, Xian managed to acquire several varieties of vegetables and fruit trees. They obtained different types of peppers, beans, loofahs, and various vegetables. Additionally, there were peaches, grapes, persimmons, and roses of different varieties. While finding these items wasn't particularly difficult, Xian had to figure out how to store them in the space behind Shao Yunduan's back. That day, they spent the night in a small town just 2 days away from the state of Jianghu. Since there were no suitable accommodations ahead, they decided not to continue their journey, even though they had arrived in the town earlier than expected. Coincidentally, 2 businessmen announced that they had 2 boxes of rare goods from overseas available for purchase at an affordable price. They emphasized that this was the only store offering such goods before they passed the village. This announcement piqued a lot of interest among the crowd. Xian initially had doubts about the authenticity of the goods, but an employee from the caravan informed them that the 2 businessmen must have acquired the rare items through illicit means and were discreetly selling them in this inconspicuous location. Such occurrences were not uncommon. Most of the items were genuine, and the prices were reasonable. Xian and Shao Yunduan became curious and decided to observe the spectacle. The 2 boxes contained a wide array of items, ranging from jewelry with damaged gemstones, fans, bead bracelets, knives, incense, perfumes, wooden carvings, tea leaves, handkerchiefs, to beautiful conch shells, and more. Many people were squatting on the ground, meticulously sifting through the merchandise and haggling over prices. Xian found the scene intriguing but refrained from making any purchases. However, her attention was immediately captivated when one of the businessmen pulled out a roll wrapped in yellow paper from his pocket and began to eat it. Xian couldn't take her eyes off the sight. To her astonishment, the rolls were filled with meat and vegetables, including shredded potatoes. Xian had been searching for potatoes and sweet potatoes for quite some time. Shao had even sent his men to inquire in the south, but they had found no leads. Xian had been patient, but she hadn't expected to come across them so easily. Unable to contain her excitement, Xian whispered to Shao Yunduan, expressing her desire to obtain the rolls. In response, Shao Yunduan approached the businessman and inquired about the contents of the roll, mentioning that it looked appetizing. Upon hearing Shao Yunduan's question, the man felt a sense of pride. He smiled and replied,
You have great taste and you've noticed it.
This is taro from the west, cultivated in the fields. It's delicious. Chapter 926. Taste B0's Nvel. CM Qiao grew increasingly eager to taste the taro rolls. She knew they would be delicious. Shao Yunduan smiled and inquired, "It looks delicious. Do you have more taro? Would you be willing to sell some to me?" The businessman was taken aback by the request. In his eyes, the taro was just an ordinary crop, like peanuts or potatoes. It was filling but not particularly flavorful. How good could it really be? Shao Yunduan reassured him with a smile. "I'll simply want to try it for myself."
Understanding the situation, the businessman realized that this man must have observed his own enjoyment of the food, and now wanted to experience it for himself.
It wouldn't fetch much money, but he could sell a few rolls at least. He was growing tired of it anyway.
The businessman responded with a genuine smile. "All right, we have a few more rolls at the hostel.
If you'd like to try them, I can sell them to you later. But he'll sell them out soon."
Shao Yunduan nodded appreciatively and asked for the location of the businessman's residence, stating that he would visit him later. Together, Shao Yunduan and Xianxia left, with Xianxia obediently refraining from displaying her eagerness to obtain the taro rolls. Being too eager might drive up the price, and their objective was to maximize their profits. After all, this was a simple transaction, and there was no need to pursue long-term benefits. They intended to make the most of the opportunity. When evening arrived, Shao Yunduan and Xianxia headed to the hostel as planned. The businessman was taken aback but quickly regained his composure, smiling as he said,
"Oh, you're serious? I thought you were joking."
Shao Yunduan chuckled. "I'll keep my word.
I'm genuinely curious about the taste of taro, and I must try it. How much do you have? If you don't mind, you can sell them all to me." He explained that his wife loved such delicacies and wanted to buy as many as possible. The businessman, playing along as a fellow food enthusiast, laughed and agreed to Shao Yunduan's proposition. He retrieved a bag from the guest room and said, "I only have 10 left. If you'd like them, you can give me 101. It's quite a rare price, isn't it?" Xianxia took the bag from the businessman and opened it, while Shao Yunduan leaned in for a closer look. The taro rolls were gray and about the size of goose eggs, with traces of mud on their surface. They appeared unremarkable and didn't evoke much appetite. The price of 101 was reasonable for Shao Yunduan, so after a moment of hesitation, he nodded and paid for the purchase. With the taro rolls in hand, he bid farewell to the businessman. The businessman happily pocketed the 101 and chuckled to himself. They could enjoy some drinks tonight. Meanwhile, Xianxia anxiously awaited Shao Yunduan's return. As soon as he walked in, she eagerly grabbed his sleeves, asking, "Darling, did you buy the taro rolls? Where are they?" Shao Yunduan had initially planned to tease her, but seeing her genuine anxiety, he couldn't bear to do so. He called for Xianxia to bring the rolls and reassured her with a smile. "Yes, they're all here. One bought them all." Xiaoxian's face lit up with joy. However, it seemed that there weren't many rolls left. She carefully placed the taro rolls on the table, counting them one by one. There were a total of 16, but perhaps due to the absence of cultivated potato varieties in this era, they were all relatively small in size. Chapter 927. Beautiful B0's Nvel. The 3 largest taro rolls were only the size of a goose egg, while most of them were about the size of a duck egg. 2 were even smaller, only the size of small eggs. But for Xianxia, even if there was only 1 potato the size of an egg, she could multiply it to cover 2 mu of land within 2 years. Potatoes could be divided into several pieces for planting, as long as each piece had a bud. With her superpower, she could ensure that even the smallest potato pieces would grow well. There were 16 potatoes of different sizes in front of her. After cutting them into pieces, she would have almost 100 pieces, which meant she had 100 potential potatoes. With her superpower, she could nurture each potato piece carefully, and the harvest would likely exceed just 10 or 20 healthy potatoes. Next year, they could start planting on a larger scale. By then, they would have an abundance of potatoes, allowing them to create various delicious dishes. Potatoes were an excellent resource to combat famine. They could be used as both vegetables and a rice substitute. They were easy to cultivate and not demanding in terms of soil. Their yield was remarkable. Similar to cassavas, Xianxia had no intention of keeping this resource to herself. She planned to expand beyond Shaoding village. Each family in the village would receive 20 free potato seeds, and those from other villages could purchase 500 grams of seeds for 1 won. The more Xianxia contemplated this, the more elated she became. Although she had obtained many new crop varieties in the past, this was the first time she felt such immense joy. "Darling, are the taro rolls good?" Shao Yunduan smiled. Songsher had already left, and they were alone in the room. Xianxia said inwardly, of course it was very good, but she could not reveal that. If she did, it would show that she knew too much. Some things could be said to come from books, but she could not just read everything from books. Xianxia came back to herself. She seemed to be too happy. It seemed that she should stay calm. She smiled. Of course it is a good thing. I found it myself, so I am very happy about it. It is called taro, and it should be similar to ours. But the way the little boss eats it today is different from ours. I wonder if the fruits can be planted at our place. I really want to have a taste of it now, but there are too few seeds, so we should keep them. Only now did Shao Yunduan understand what was going on. The new species they found with their own eyes were different from those they got from others. It was no wonder that his wife was so happy. Shao Yunduan smiled. They are taros too, and they can be planted alive, just like everything else we did. He added, "I'll think there are many of these. If you want to have a taste, you can have two." No. Xianxia waved her hands. "Elle can't have a taste of it. I need to keep it and plant it. By autumn, the harvest will be much better." These 16 potatoes were too rare to be eaten. No matter how much they missed sour and spicy shredded potatoes, fresh potatoes, dry fried potatoes, stewed braised pork with potatoes, stewed chicken with potatoes, potato pancakes, deep-fried potato strips, etc. Shao Yunduan's words about eating the potatoes really made her heart ache. Chapter 928. Not Secret B0's Nvel. CM Shao Yunduan found her serious expression amusing. All right, we can give it a try next year." "Yes, next year will be fine." Xianxia felt a surge of happiness. She placed the potatoes back in the middle compartment, but she still worried about the valuable seeds. She decided that storing them in the storage space would be the safest option. Before long, they arrived at the state of Jianghu. The city was a vast metropolis situated in the Central Plains, far more expansive and prosperous than the province they came from. Even before entering the city, they could sense the bustle and magnificence of this ancient place. The official road stretched wide and flat, flanked by towering trees on both sides. The road was teeming with people, and numerous caravans transported large quantities of goods into the city. Inside the wagon, they lifted a corner of the curtain and peered outside. The city wall, reaching high into the sky, appeared as imposing as a mountain, seemingly exerting pressure. As they approached the gate, the crowd of people and sedan chairs grew denser. It was a lively scene, but their progress slowed down. By noon, they caught sight of the city gate from a distance, yet they didn't enter until 4 in the afternoon. Boss Tang's business had a warehouse and a designated resting place, so they hurriedly unloaded the goods, leaving no time for a proper farewell with Shao Yunduan and the others. Having spent so much time together, they had formed a good bond. Thus, parting ways brought about a tinge of sadness for all of them. They had made plans to gather again after their return to the province, but whether that would ever come to fruition remained uncertain. Shao Yunduan, Xianxia, and the others located an inn and requested 3 high-class rooms and 2 standard rooms. They intended to stay here for a few days before resuming their journey. Their first order of business was to relax and rest, as the remaining part of their journey would not be as leisurely. They had to cover a minimum of 300 li each day. While the official road to the north was wide and even, with few remote areas along the way, they couldn't afford to be careless or delay without a large accompanying group. Thus, they pushed their pace as much as possible, hoping to reach the capital sooner for added security. Night fell, bringing about a serene atmosphere. The next day, Shao Yunduan, Lu Min,
and Gu Zhio approached the inn manager to inquire about repairing their wagon. It was in need of repairs. They sought out a reputable escort agency in the area and decided to hire 3 or 4 escorts from the agency. With their original group of masters and servants, they now numbered over 10 people. This arrangement made them feel more secure. Xianxia offered reassurance, mentioning that it was a time of peace and prosperity, and they were traveling along the official road. There was no reason to worry. They would surely be fine. Upon hearing this, Lu Min and Gu Zhio felt comforted. They repeatedly praised Xianxia, claiming she was superior to them. In truth, Xianxia wasn't trying to console them. She wasn't afraid at all. She would simply exercise caution along the way and rely on her superpower to survey everything within a 10-mile radius. No powerful thieves could hide from her. Even before they approached, she could manipulate the vines and branches in the mountains to incapacitate them. During the journey with the caravan, they passed through some remote areas with complex terrain. Xianxia remained vigilant, utilizing her superpower to observe her surroundings. However, the journey remained peaceful, devoid of any strange occurrences. Chapter 929. House in the capital B0's Nvel. CM Shao Yunduan planned to discuss matters with Lu Min and the escort agency, so Xiao took Qiao and Xia for a stroll. Opportunities were scarce, and Xiao didn't hold much hope for new crops like potatoes. However, she came across numerous apple and pear trees. Xia and Qiao were easily deceived. Xiao found a pretext to send them away temporarily. She casually purchased fruit tree saplings and discreetly found a quiet alley where no one was around. There, she stored the saplings in her secret space for safekeeping. After 2 days, all repairs were completed, and supplies were replenished. They set off early in the morning, accompanied by the 4 escorts. It was early March, and the weather grew warmer as they journeyed northward. The sun beat down intensely. Thankfully, the weather remained pleasant, making the travel much more comfortable. 3 days later, they arrived at the capital. "We've finally arrived." Shao Yunduan, Lu Min, and Gu Zhio all gazed at the capital with different expressions. For scholars in the world, the capital represented not just a city but also the starting point of their aspirations. No matter how ambitious one might be, if they didn't pass the spring examination, everything would be mere empty talk. Only by advancing to the next level would they acquire the qualifications to pursue their dreams. As for what lay ahead on their governmental path, it would depend on each individual's luck. Regardless, this place was undeniably sacred and brimming with hope for all of them. They were well aware of how challenging it was to advance to the next level. Many people spent their entire lives studying and still remained at the level of child student. The candidates participating in the spring examination were all exceptional individuals, standing here at this moment. Suddenly, all 3 of them became overwhelmed with emotions. High-spirited, anxious, nervous, daring, confident. Observing their reactions, Xiao understood what they were going through. She must have experienced similar sentiments during the college entrance examination. The 3 of them sighed deeply and entered the town together. Upon reaching the capital, they checked into a hostel. The mission of the 4 bodyguards had come to an end. They bid farewell to them after receiving their payment and departed from the hostel, making their way home. Night fell, enveloping the city in tranquility. The following day, the 4 of them gathered at a restaurant for a small celebration. "Let's toast to our smooth journey. And may the spring examination go just as smoothly." "Yes, yes." Hey race to a successful spring examination. Cheers. The sanctity and opulence of the city of Son of Heaven filled them with a sense of freshness and excitement. Having the opportunity to visit this place in their lifetime was a worthwhile experience. They were all in high spirits and didn't dwell too much on the upcoming spring examination. They chatted about their daily lives and shared their future plans. Shao Yunduan and Xiao had discussed their plans the previous night, deciding to purchase a small house in the intermediate area. Staying at the hostel would pose inconveniences and potentially cause trouble for the Qiao family. It could also negatively impact their performance in the spring examination. Upon hearing their plan to buy a house in the capital, Lu Min and Gu Zhio gasped in awe and expressed their admiration. "We should have known. You're incredibly generous." Purchasing a house in the capital was a feat not achievable by ordinary individuals. A small house of the same size would cost at least 10 times more in the capital compared to the province. Chapter 9:30. Prepared B0's Nvel. C0M. The thought of such a venture seemed unimaginable to them. Many low-ranking officers would spend their entire lives renting a house in the capital. Shao Yunduan smiled and addressed Lu Min and Gu Jiao. Brother Lu, Brother Gu, are you planning to move to a different hostel? We will get in touch with you once we've settled. Although their current hostel was not cheap, it fell within an acceptable range for the couple. Staying in the hostel would provide them with better access to information and resources, which was crucial for them, considering their limited knowledge about the capital. Lu Min and Gu Jiao assured them that they would not be moving out. This way they could maintain contact with one another. The following day, Xianxia and Shao Yunduan set out to find a suitable house. With nearly 280,000 liang in her possession, Xianxia felt confident in their search. Finding a suitable house proved to be not too difficult. Moreover, they were not overly particular. As long as the house was of intermediate size and had a good environment, sturdy structure, and cleanliness, they could move in after a simple cleaning. They visited 3 properties on the same day, and settled on purchasing a courtyard house in the intermediate section of an alley near the southern moat. The brick wall surrounding the property stood over 2 meters tall. Upon pushing open the door, they were greeted by a square courtyard. The patio was neither too large nor too small, and there was a small open space at the back with a few planted trees. Sunlight flooded the courtyard, making every room bright and airy. Most importantly, the house was clean and well maintained. With a little dusting and the addition of some furniture purchased from an old goods market a couple of streets away, they could move in. Each household in the alley appeared tidy and well kept, inhabited by respectable families. Not far to the north of the alley lay Longtan Lake, which boasted a large and irregular shape. The lakeside was adorned with flourishing grass and trees, with reeds and lotus flowers dotting the shallow water. On pleasant weather days, it was a popular spot for boat tours, boasting picturesque scenery. Xianxia was particularly fond of this location. Despite being the most expensive option among the 3, they decided to make the purchase. They spent a total of 5,000 liang on the property. In the province, that amount of money would be sufficient to buy an area of approximately 7 or 8 mu. Xianxia hired a land agent to assist with the cleaning, using some additional funds for the task. The following day, they furnished the main room, east and west wing rooms, and the kitchen, moving into their new home by the afternoon. The kitchen was equipped with pots, pans, oil, salt, sauces, vinegar, and a cart of firewood. Tables, chairs, beds, cabinets, and other furniture items were added to the rooms, along with curtains, draperies, cushions, and bedrolls. The remaining furnishings could be added gradually over time. During this era, all furniture was original and environmentally friendly. There was no need to wait for the house to air out. They could settle in without worry. Now, Xianxia and Shao Yunduan had a home of their own in the capital's intermediate section. Shao Yunduan invited Lu Min and Gu Jiao to visit, sharing a meal and awaiting the spring examination. Occasionally, Shao Yunduan and Lu Min would venture out to the gathering place of the examination candidates to catch up, chat, and gather news. Many aspiring scholars were filled with anxiety and worry. Some formed groups and pooled their money to purchase gifts, hoping to visit nobles or influential families and seek their guidance. They believed that receiving such guidance would be more beneficial than studying for 10 years. Chapter 931. Dealing with the Qiao family B0's Nvel. C0M Shao Yunduan, Lu Min, and Gu Jiao chose not to involve themselves in such matters. While Emperor Xian had a fascination with Taoist Shangzhen and alchemy for longevity, the imperial examination held utmost importance in the country. With so many people watching, no one dared to stir up trouble. The consequences of any misstep would be exile and annihilation of the entire family. Unless the dynasty was utterly corrupted, the scholars participating in the imperial examination would not dare to cause any disturbance in the presence of the emperor. Furthermore, the crown prince, known for his steady and virtuous nature, commanded great respect. No one would dare to act against his favor. Hence, there was no need to pay attention to the exaggerated tales and rumors. Xian understood that she needed to maintain her composure and focus solely on answering the examination questions. This was not the time to get entangled in such matters. Jingrong also warned Shao Yunduan about the numerous instances where wealthy and influential individuals in the capital's intermediate section attempted to swindle money from others. Shao Yunduan believed that such incidents might occur this year as well. Once they were settled, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan began dealing with the affairs of the Qiao family. Deep down, Qiao Xian did not consider herself a true member of the Qiao family, nor did she desire any association with them. However, due to her wretched father and the ties of blood, it was not easy to sever the connection completely. Thus, she had to address these matters. If Shao Yunduan were to succeed in becoming an advanced scholar, the Qiao family might not release them so easily. It was crucial to resolve these issues as soon as possible to avoid potential problems in the future. Realizing that their own reputation and career would be tarnished if they allowed the Qiao family to persistently trouble them, Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian decided to take action. They initiated inquiries about the Qiao family and their current situation. Unfortunately, Qiao Xian's father had initially planned to provide Shao Yunduan with a letter of introduction, but due to the unfortunate circumstances surrounding his betrayal and indifference, the letter was lost. They were uncertain about the specific location of the Qiao family's residence in the capital, but they sought assistance from Jingrong, who was able to provide them with the necessary information. Thus, they kept a watchful eye on the Qiao family, particularly focusing on Qiao Hongxi. Qiao Hongxi was Madame Qiao's legitimate son and Qiao Xian's brother. According to the information obtained from Jingrong, Qiao Hongxi was described as proud, conceited, with a false sense of superiority due to his limited knowledge, and possessed a narrow-minded, stingy, and jealous nature. He was merely an advanced scholar who had not achieved remarkable academic achievements. Although Qiao Hongxi's father had been an earl, he lost his title when it came to his children and grandchildren. However, the imperial court still maintained a friendly relationship with him, granting him the title of advanced scholar. Unbeknownst to Qiao Hongxi, his inflated self-perception led him to believe he was exceptionally talented. Despite not being a top-ranked scholar, he was ostracized by influential officials, only managing to become an advanced scholar through mere perseverance. These were precisely the kind of individuals they were looking to confront if trouble arose. Luck was on their side, as an opportunity presented itself after 2 days of observation. Chapter 932. The Qiao families fall on that particular day. Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian spotted Qiao Hongxi leaving his residence. They discreetly followed him in a rented wagon, driven by a man named Songshi. Renting the wagon allowed them to maintain a low profile, returning it in the afternoon and renting it again the following day, ensuring they left no traces behind. Qiao Hongxi's daily routine typically involved working at Hanlin Academy without venturing elsewhere. However, today was different as he set off in the morning, indicating that it was his day off. This caught the couple's attention. They trailed behind Qiao Hongxi until he reached a street known for selling antiques. Exiting the wagon, Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian discreetly followed him into one of the stores. Qiao Hongxi was dressed in a bamboo green Confucian robe, donning a square pacifier on his head, and holding a folding fan in his hand, adhering to the standard attire for scholars. However, they knew that they had no connections to noble families and that the Qiao family was facing financial difficulties. Observing the store Qiao Hongxi entered, Qiao Xian realized it was an ordinary establishment on the street. It seemed that Qiao Hongxi couldn't afford anything more upscale. With only 50 liang in his pocket, Qiao Hongxi aimed to purchase a good jade pendant. He had heard rumors that this store offered excellent quality items at affordable prices, fueling his desire to try his luck there. Unbeknownst to Qiao Hongxi, he had become the unwitting target of Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian's surveillance. Despite being followed for a few days, he had failed to notice their presence. While Qiao Hongxi carefully selected his jade, Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian observed his actions intently. Qiao Hongxi had set his sights on a jade pendant, but the store manager asked for 88 liang, an amount he simply couldn't afford. He began to negotiate, but before he could make any progress, Qiao Xian abruptly interrupted the conversation. 88 liang is a fair and reasonable price. If you don't want it, just put it down. I want to buy it. Qiao Xian declared confidently, drawing the attention of both Qiao Hongxi and the store manager, who had been haggling over a price of 40 liang. Xian raised her eyebrows proudly and shot a disdainful glance at Xiao Hongxi. Turning to Xiao Yunduan, she remarked, "Darling, this jade is absolutely beautiful. I adore it." Xiao Yunduan adopted a magnanimous expression and chuckled. "Then let's purchase it. 80 liang is not expensive at all. It's even too cheap." The store manager's face lit up with joy. Smiling at them, he exclaimed, "You have excellent taste. Our goods are definitely worth the price." Xiao Hongxi seethed with anger, his face turning green. He retorted, "I was here first." Xian rolled her eyes and replied, "Can you afford it?" Xiao Hongxi, if you genuinely want to buy it, why do you keep bargaining? Xian continued, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You don't seem serious about purchasing it at all. If you have no intention of buying, why can't someone else purchase it? Xiao Yunduan chimed in. My wife is right. If you don't want it, please put it down. Perhaps you can find something worth 40 liang instead. Xian chuckled and added, Indeed, I'm sure there are other pieces worth 40 liang in this store. You can ask the manager about them. Xiao Hongxi's face flushed with anger and then turned pale. He trembled with rage. You. It was too much. He was a proud man, but the financial struggles of the Qiao family had been weighing heavily on him. Every day, he fretted over clothing and accessories. He had managed to save up 50 liang, hoping to purchase a fine piece of jade, but now he faced such misfortune. Chapter 933. Unable, how dare they mock him for being poor. He was so embarrassed and angry that he was about to explode. But Xian did not show any mercy. What is wrong with us? We are helping you with ideas out of kindness. Don't think that we're ruining this for you. Xiao Hongxi felt dizzy, and he could not even breathe. Xiao Hongxi did not want to be humiliated like this. He was about to say something, when Shao Yunduan said calmly, You really want to buy them? Xiao Hongxi was startled. He swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He wished that he could make 100,000 or 80,000 liang and slap the money right on these two people's faces. That would be so satisfying. But he just could not do that. Xiao Hongxi cursed inwardly. That was the biggest misfortune in his life, when he needed money to slap his race. Shao Yunduan smiled and said calmly, Young master, don't get in the manager's way. If you don't want to buy it, you should put it down. Xiao Hongxi tightened his grip on the jade, veins popping out on the back of his hands. He was shivering, apparently very angry. He could not afford it. If he bargained now, he would be humiliating himself. If he put it down, it meant that he had been humiliated. Something was wrong. He cursed inwardly. Where did these two lunatics come from? They could have bought anything, but why did they have to go against him? Xian pursed her lips. What is wrong with you? Are you buying it or not? Tell me the truth. If you want to buy it, then buy it. If not, put it down. You are not a very kind person. Xiao Hongxi felt that he was going to die of anger the next second. He could not lose. He could not lose. Otherwise he would be totally humiliated as the editor of the Hanlin Academy. Of course I will. Xiao Hongxi sneered and said with clenched teeth. Having said the words, he suddenly felt much better. He threw a proud look at Xian and Shao Yunduan. We have nothing else to do. Aren't you leaving? Xian said. That is such a pity. You can buy yours, and we can look at other things, okay? You can drive away the guests for the manager, right? I want to buy that, and you drive us away. Don't you want to buy that too? Then you can have it. We won't argue with you. She pointed at a small jade rabbit on the shelf. The 3-inch-long jade rabbit was used to make medicine. The carving was smooth and the jade was smooth. It was very lovable and the price would not be very cheap. The manager knew what to do. He took down the small and exquisite ornament and carefully put it on the counter, smiling. This jade rabbit is used to make potions and ornaments. Look at how fine the carving is. It costs only 100 liang, very cost-effective. Xian smiled at Xiao Hongxi. Young master, do you want it? Xiao Hongxi threw a glare at Xian. She kept cursing inwardly. She had not checked the almanac today, So why did she run into this strange couple? He could not wait to drive them away because he did not want to be humiliated in front of them. But they were so difficult to deal with. Qiao Hongxi wanted to be generous, but that was not going to happen. He did not dare to pretend to be very rich anymore. Instead, he snorted and ignored Qiao Xian's words. He gritted his teeth. So be it. He took out the 50 liang from his pocket. "I don't have enough money today. Here is 50 liang, and you can go to the Qiao family at West 6th Street. Chapter 934. One day that was not an unusual occurrence. Those esteemed ladies and young gentlemen didn't typically carry a substantial amount of money with them when they went shopping. Instead, they would simply choose whatever they desired, sign the bill, and request the manager to collect the payment from their family's accountant. However, there was a prerequisite for this arrangement. The family had to be a regular guest or a legitimate noble family residing in the capital's vicinity. Moreover, the expenses were considerable, amounting to at least several hundred liang, or even thousands or tens of thousands. Firstly, Qiao Hongxi was not a frequent patron, and secondly, the Qiao family lacked recognition. Furthermore, he had requested someone to retrieve 38 liang on his behalf. How audacious! West 6th Street was quite a distance away. The manager furrowed his brow and spoke with a courteous smile. "I apologize, young master, but this is a small business that does not extend credit. Additionally, I am the only staff member present and need to attend to the store, making it impossible for me to collect the payment at your doorstep. Perhaps you could return at a later time?" Manager Qiao was already affording Qiao Hongxi some face. He was providing him with an opportunity to save face. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan remained silent. However, standing beside each other, their satisfaction was evident, intensifying Qiao Hongxi's sense of humiliation. Yet, what other recourse did he have? He was rapidly depleting his funds. He clenched his teeth and resolved to spend an additional 38 taels of silver to acquire the jade, even if it resulted in reprimands. However, they refused to allow him to make the purchase on credit. Their condescending attitude was directed at his lack of wealth. If only he possessed sufficient funds, if the Qiao family still retained their status, and if they remained the affluent and influential family of yore, the manager would not have dared to treat him in such a manner. The couple would not have dared to ridicule him. One day, he would revive the Qiao family and exact revenge on those who had belittled him. "All right, then next time." Qiao Hongxi feigned composure, but deep inside, he was consumed by embarrassment. His words came out stiffly, and his face burned with humiliation. He placed the jade back and exited the shop with his head hung low. He was in no mood to continue shopping, so he made his way home, engulfed in a despondent mood. However, he was suddenly jostled and fell to the ground. Before he could express his anger, the person who bumped into him scowled. "What's wrong with you? Can't you watch where you're going? How unlucky." Then with a contemptuous spit she walked away. Qiao Hongxi angrily picked himself up from the ground. This world was filled with snobbish, haughty people. He was nothing but a servant from some family, dressed like a scholar. How dare she treat him with such rudeness? He had neither wealth nor influence. How could he be subjected to such disdain? Misfortune, misfortune. Qiao Hongxi cursed silently, regretting that he hadn't consulted the almanac that day. Annoyed by Qiao Hongxi, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan decided not to purchase the jade. Although Qiao Xian didn't like the item Qiao Hongxi had chosen, he bought a jade rabbit for medicinal purposes. The manager bid them farewell with a favorable impression. He smiled and saw them off. As they left the store, they exchanged smiles with each other. Qiao Xian, in particular, felt a deep inner joy. In the original host's recollection, this elder brother had always been as cold as her father. Every time he looked at her, it was as if she were a worthless pile of rubbish. Even when he witnessed the maids mistreating her, he turned a blind eye. Chapter 935. Show that was not an ideal situation either. That happened to be Madame Qiao's son. That's quite satisfying. It's good to see you happy. Shall we pay a visit to the Qiao family now? Sure, let's go. It was evident that they weren't afraid to create a stir. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan had the advantage of a wagon, while Qiao Hongxi had to rely on his own 2 legs. Consequently, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan reached the Qiao family faster than him. County Magistrate Qiao hadn't provided Shao Yunduan with an introductory letter, but Shao Yunduan had written a congratulatory letter after attaining the intermediate level, serving as proof. Additionally, Qiao Xian had been born in County Magistrate Qiao's office and hadn't returned to the Qiao family in the capital since then. However, the Qiao family was aware of her existence. Furthermore, Shao Yunduan was the recommended candidate for the spring examination. Once they revealed their identities, the Qiao family wouldn't turn them away. They didn't take the wagon all the way to the entrance of the Qiao family. Instead, they alighted outside the alley, gave some money to the tea house, securely tied the wagon to the side, and walked toward the door alongside Xianxia. After a while, the gatekeeper returned and invited them inside. As for the heads of the Qiao family, none of them came out to greet them. In the hall, Madam Lady Qiao, First Madam Qiao, Second Mrs. Qiao, and First Madam Qiao's youngest son, Qiao Hongming, the 4th son of the Qiao family, were present. Behind a folding screen were the 2 legitimate daughters of the second branch of the family, Qiao Feng and Qiao Li. The 2 sisters whispered to each other, snickering and ridiculing. They discussed Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan's arrival outside the Qiao family. Madam Lady Qiao and the others were more curious than hopeful. They maintained a guarded stance, knowing that if this couple sought any advantages from the Qiao family, they would never ask for help. First Madam Qiao remarked that he was merely the husband of a concubine's daughter. So what if he had become a recommended man? Becoming an advanced scholar was no easy feat. The world was filled with countless exceptional young talents, each one unique and extraordinary. How could a son-in-law of a concubine have a chance? If that man truly possessed exceptional abilities, he wouldn't have allowed himself to be taken advantage of by a concubine's daughter. First Madam Qiao's husband had attained the position of a 6th-ranked officer in the Ministry of Rights due to his connections with the imperial court. His days were numbered, and he was merely wasting his time. Their eldest son, Qiao Hongxi, served as an ordinary soldier in the imperial army, earning a modest income each month. The youngest son, Qiao Hongming, held the 4th position, yet he had no significant achievements to speak of. Second Mrs. Qiao's husband was unemployed, managing 2 small fields and 2 stores. Their son, Qiao Hongquang, the 2nd son, devoted himself to studying and preparing for the imperial examination. However, he was 3 years older than Qiao Hongxi, the 3rd son, and was only considered a cultivated talent. Reaching the intermediate level would prove to be quite challenging for him. When the members of the 1st and 2nd branches of the family learned that County Magistrate Qiao and his son had both become intermediate advanced scholars, with County Magistrate Qiao even poised to become an advanced scholar himself, they couldn't help but feel a bitter sense of envy. County Magistrate Qiao would soon return to the capital and likely hold a higher position than Old Master Qiao. This fact greatly annoyed First Madam Qiao. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan would not be warmly welcomed at the doorstep. As for Madam Lady Qiao, she held a bias towards her 3 sons, just like the short and long fingers she had. Chapter 936. Not good. Eldest son was the lineal son and she relied on him, so she valued him the most. Second son was obedient and had a bad health when he was young, so she spent a lot of efforts to take care of him, so the mother and the son had a very deep relationship. Her eldest son was the lineal elder son, and she had to take care of her 2nd son, so her 3rd son was neglected. She had intended to let her 2nd son become successful in his studies, but her 2nd son failed and her 3rd son became an advanced scholar, which made Madam Lady Qiao feel very annoyed. It was as if she had proved that she had bad taste. Also, County Magistrate Qiao spent most of his time as an officer, so Madam Lady Qiao and her family became even more distant. When County Magistrate Qiao was seeking to return to the capital, his 2 brothers cheated him of money. Madam Lady Qiao knew about this, but pretended not to know. Later, her 2 daughter-in-laws gossiped behind her back and said, "Elle didn't expect that 3rd son is so rich outside. We don't care, but he doesn't even know how to send some home to show respect to Mom. He only gives us 3 melons and 2 dates for the New Year and Mom's birthday every year. He is so heartless." Madam Lady Qiao agreed deeply. She got even more annoyed and disliked County Magistrate Qiao even more. Therefore, no one in the room was nice to Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan. It was not difficult for Xiao and Shao Yunduan to cause trouble at the door. Hearing the gatekeeper's report, the two of them did not have a wagon, but only a page boy who was following them. He was dressed in ordinary clothes and did not have any precious things. The whole family immediately put them in the category of those who tried to steal something from them. Xiao and Shao Yunduan walked into the Qiao family with Songshi and greeted Madam Lady Qiao. Instantly, countless pairs of eyes turned to the couple. Those eyes were not polite at all. They were probing and sized up brazenly. If Xiao and Shao Yunduan were not mentally strong enough, they would have shivered under their stares. But they held a strong dislike for the Qiao family, harboring no intention of bowing down to them. Their tolerance had reached its limit. Xiao, a member of the Qiao family, remained silent, unable to utter a word. Observing the situation, Shao Yunduan arched his eyebrows and sneered. "How impolite of you! Is this how the esteemed Xiao family treats its guests?" Ha! A collective gasp resonated through the room. Everyone stood there, stunned and speechless. Heh! Second Mrs. Qiao huffed in disdain. First Madame Qiao also smiled, mocking Shao Yunduan. "Impolite? You have quite the audacity." Shao Yunduan scoffed. "If the Qiao family looks down on us, they could have asked us to leave. Such despicable behavior. How dare you?" Madam Lady Qiao's anger surged. "How dare you disrespect your elders? You have no manners." "Elders?" Shao Yunduan retorted. "I have been here for a considerable amount of time, yet no one bothered to introduce you. So who exactly are the elders? Where are they? I waited at the entrance for quite a while before entering. What is the Qiao family up to?" Madam Lady Qiao's mothers and daughter-in-laws were left speechless. Embarrassment flooded their faces. Some matters couldn't be disclosed, as they would only lead to humiliation. However, this audacious son-in-law of the concubine's daughter seemed shameless beyond measure. How uncouth! It came as no surprise that he hailed from a small town. It came as no surprise that he was merely worthy of marrying the Qiao family's concubine's daughter. Chapter 937. Humiliation. Qiao Hongming grew increasingly irritated and forcefully slammed the table, bellowing, "No one invited you here. You came to our doorstep, and yet you're still so particular? Take a good look at yourself in the mirror." First Madame Qiao felt a slight alleviation of embarrassment and chimed in, "Indeed." Just then, Qiao Hongxi returned. Upon hearing that Qiao Xian was present with her husband, Qiao Hongxi became livid. "Qiao Xian!" Qiao Hongxi rushed into the main hall with a stern expression. From a distance, he overheard his cousin's angry voice, fueling his fury even more. This shameless creature! His anger was not directed at Qiao Hongming but at Qiao Xian. He firmly believed that it must have been Qiao Xian and her husband who had offended the entire family. As he stepped into the main hall, his gaze fell upon Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan, and his expression changed. "What are you doing here?" Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were taken aback. Qiao Xian appeared startled, lowering her head and remaining silent. Shao Yunduan swiftly moved to shield Qiao Xian behind him, countering Qiao Hongxi. "It's you who can't afford the jade." Qiao Hongxi seethed with anger and snapped at Shao Yunduan. "You're Qiao Xian's husband? How dare you speak to me in such a manner? Do you have any idea who I am? Qiao Xian, why are you hiding? Come out this instant." Qiao Hongxi felt a mix of fury and excitement. This was retribution in action. These two wretches had constantly belittled him, and now it was time for him to teach them a lesson. He found himself greatly surprised. Qiao Xian seemed to have transformed after all these years. She used to be timid and submissive, barely daring to breathe audibly in front of others. Had he not witnessed it himself, he wouldn't have believed that the person standing before him today was the lowly concubine's daughter. He felt utterly humiliated by her. Qiao Hongxi was consumed with a desire to thrash her to death. "Qiao Xian is my wife, show some respect." Shao Yunduan's irritation persisted upon hearing Qiao Hongxi's disrespectful address towards Qiao Xian. Qiao Hongxi sneered, "I am her elder brother, and that is how I treat her. What's your opinion? Don't you know how to properly greet people?" Shao Yunduan retorted, "Reciprocity is at the core of etiquette. Since you are my wife's elder brother, I treat you the same way you treat me. You don't appear to be a person of good manners either. Is everyone in the Qiao family like this? Silence! How dare you? What a disgrace! The Qiao family grew exasperated. How audacious! How audacious! How could a son-in-law of a concubine's daughter dare to come to the Qiao family and behave in such a manner? While the Qiao family may have lost their noble title, in their eyes, they still stood as an illustrious family far beyond his reach. Did he truly believe that being a recommended man at the intermediate level made him so remarkable that he garnered praise from ignorant people in that small town of merely 500 meters? They were insignificant within the capital. To the Qiao family, they were nothing. How arrogant! Just leave this place. Qiao Hongxi bellowed so loudly that his voice cracked. Shao Yunduan disdainfully remarked, "Why are you shouting like that? You're no scholar." Chapter 938. So cute. Qiao Hongxi's eyes widened, rendered speechless. He gasped heavily, his anger too overwhelming for words. He had never encountered such audacity. How dare she claim that he was not a scholar? It was unbearable. Nonsense. I am an advanced scholar. Yes, I hold a position at the Hanlin Academy. You, on the other hand, are no scholar. You lack scholarly qualifications. Shao Yunduan maintained his disdainful expression. How humiliating! Xianxia lowered her head, suppressing her laughter. Her husband was simply adorable. Do you think you have the right to make me leave? My father-in-law stated that the Qiao family would take care of me and invited me to join them when I am in the capital. Madame Yuejing and the others expressed caution and disgust. Don't even entertain such thoughts. Qiao Hongxi sneered. Taking care of you? You are not worthy. I highly doubt you'll ever attain the rank of an intermediate advanced scholar. Leave this place and spare yourself the embarrassment. Madame Yuezheng's face darkened. The Qiao family does not welcome individuals lacking manners. Do not tarnish the reputation of the Qiao family. Shao Yunduan asserted. That is the nature of the Qiao family. I couldn't care less. Whether I achieve the status of an intermediate advanced scholar is none of your concern. You are not the examiner, thus you hold no authority. Qiao Hongxi trembled even more, angrily snapping at Xianxia. You wretched girl, why are you just standing there? Are you going to allow your husband to humiliate the Qiao family? Come here. Xianxia quivered, timidly approaching Qiao Hongxi. Shao Yunduan panicked and tightly held onto Xianxia, preventing her from breaking free. Xianxia struggled in his grip but was unable to escape. She glanced at Shao Yunduan, silently signaling him to let go. She didn't care if Qiao Hongxi scolded or even hit her. She secretly hoped that Qiao Hongxi would lose control and attack her. She had resolved to make Qiao Hongxi lose his composure and unleash his anger upon her. However, Shao Yunduan saw through her intentions. He understood that her plan was the quickest and most convenient way to resolve the situation in the province, but he didn't want that. He couldn't bear to see her sacrifice herself. Xianxia sighed inwardly and lightly scratched his palm, surrendering. Shao Yunduan slowly released his grip. Xianxia lifted her head, her once beautiful eyes turning cold. She turned to Qiao Hongxi. Third brother, just say what you want to say to my husband. My husband has never humiliated the Qiao family, nor has he made such remarks. Third brother, make it clear that you're not bullying us just because you have the advantage of numbers. The faces of the Qiao family members darkened. Qiao Hongxi felt even more humiliated in front of the senior members of the family. Fine, you're so rebellious. You were never like this before, but now look at you. You don't deserve to be part of the Qiao family. Xianxia smiled. I am the daughter-in-law of the Shao family, my husband's wife. What purpose did she serve as a daughter of the Qiao family? She had never taken advantage of her position when she was considered a member of the Qiao family. On the contrary, she had led a miserable existence. Hence, she didn't care. Qiao Hongxi was provoked by her nonchalant demeanor. He felt a sense of discomfort in his failure. You may be arrogant now, but when you face mistreatment in the future, you will have to beg us for help. At that time, you'll have to rely on us to defend you. Chapter 939. One slap. Elle never considered that. Xianxia raised her eyebrows with disdain. Remember this. I have never entertained such thoughts in the past. I am not entertaining them now, and I will never entertain them in the future. And what decision can you possibly make for me? Surely you don't believe that, do you? You! Xianxia's eyes widened with annoyance. The images of Xianxia, who mocked him for not being able to afford the jade, and Xianxia, who used to be timid at home, kept replaying in Xianxia's mind, intertwining and exacerbating his anger. He was on the verge of exploding. This audacious girl. Who did she think she was? How dare she flaunt herself in front of him? He had never taken her seriously, never even regarded her as a human being. Yet one day, she had the audacity to confront him face to face, and he seemed incapable of besting her. No one could calmly accept such a transformation. For a proud and conceited person, that was inconceivable. How dare you? Xianxia slapped Xianxia across the face and snarled, "Today, I will teach you a lesson." Xianxia's hand tingled from the impact of the slap. However, a twisted sense of satisfaction filled him as he raised his hand, preparing to strike her again. Yunduan swiftly seized his raised wrist, his expression icy. Xianxia trembled at the sharpness in Yunduan's eyes. Yet when he considered his status as the elder brother, he straightened his posture and barked at Yunduan, "What do you think you're doing? Let go of me. I am disciplining that wretched girl you." Ah! Yunduan delivered a forceful punch to Xianxia's stomach. "Shame on you!" Agonizing pain shot through Xianxia's body, causing his face to pale as beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead. He staggered backward, clutching his stomach, taking a long while to recover. Glaring at Yunduan with a mix of fear and shame, he uttered, "How dare you strike me? I struck you, and if you dare lay a finger on my wife, I will strike you every time our paths cross." "You're rebelling," Madame Yuezhing shouted angrily, slamming her hand on the table. "How dare you? Where do you think you come from? How dare you raise a hand against us in our own home? Kneel down and confess your sins. Every girl in the Qiao family knows the rules. You will never set foot in our door again." Madame Yuezhing breathed heavily, her anger palpable. As a grandmother with many grandchildren, she had always treated Xianxia well. But witnessing her own lineal grandson being struck by the husband of a concubine's granddaughter ignited a fierce rage within her. It was a humiliation. First Madame Qiao and second Mrs. Qiao exchanged glances, their expressions filled with delight. They eagerly anticipated the clash between the lineal and concubines branches of the family. "Didn't you hear what Madame Yuezhing said? Kneel down and apologize. Show some manners." "That's right, Xianxia. You are a daughter of the Qiao family. Don't you care about your own kin? How did third sister-in-law raise this concubine's daughter to be so arrogant?" "Exactly." Xianxia signaled for a maid to assist him in standing, and with one hand on his stomach, he retorted coldly, "Don't misunderstand, second aunt-in-law. Some people are born with a lowly nature, and no amount of teaching can improve them. It has nothing to do with my mother." Chapter 940. Tears. Xianxia removed her hands from her face, revealing a swollen left cheek. Despite the pain, she remained composed and not excessively angered. Her original plan was to provoke Xianxia into taking action, but Yunduan had intervened, causing her to reconsider. However, Xianxia had still struck her with full force, leaving a stinging sensation. Yunduan gently touched her face, filled with remorse and guilt. "I'm sorry." Xianxia smiled and shook her head in response. She glanced at Madame Yuezhing and the others, a sneer forming on her lips. "Xianxia attacked me first. Are you all blind? Is the Qiao family always so shameless? Am I arrogant? No matter how arrogant I may be, I cannot compare to the Qiao family. You not only exhibit arrogance, but also distort the truth and bully others. Madam Lady Qiao, is this how the Qiao family behaves? It's truly pitiful. No wonder you find yourselves in such dire straits." "Silence! How dare you? You have no right to speak about the Qiao family. You're just a concubine's daughter, nothing more."
Madam Lady Qiao was so infuriated that she nearly lost control. If Xian had been married, she would have been slapped and banished from the premises to repent. Xian, if you refuse to kneel down and apologize, you will no longer be considered a part of the Qiao family. From this moment onward, you will be completely disowned. First Madam Qiao and second Mrs. Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. That would be perfect. What purpose did it serve to keep such a bothersome concubine's daughter around? It would be better to sever ties and avoid further trouble upon the return of third brother and his wife. Xian planned to reveal the incident to them, intending to humiliate the couple. They had been contemplating how to assert their dominance over the couple, eager to establish a position of advantage or superiority. However, that opportunity had already presented itself. In that case, we have no ties. Xian appeared angry and wronged. But her youth and impulsiveness became apparent when she realized Madam Lady Qiao's words. I am the daughter-in-law of the Shao family, and I want nothing to do with you. Shao Yunduan sneered. Words alone hold no weight. Will you dare to put it in writing? Write a contract. Write it now. Inform the clan to remove this wench from our family. Madam Lady Qiao bellowed. Shao Yunduan grew even more arrogant, sneering. Then hurry up, don't waste our time. What are you waiting for, Hongxi? Write it immediately. Qiao Hongxi sneered, filled with pride. Yes, Grandma. With those words, he instructed someone to fetch the necessary materials for writing, fully intending to do so in front of Xian and Shao Yunduan. He felt inwardly elated, certain that a woman without her own family support would never find happiness within her husband's family. He planned to make Xian suffer so immensely that she would have no one to defend her. Wasn't she arrogant? One day she would weep. She would pay for her actions. Even if she knelt before her family and pleaded for forgiveness, they would not bat an eye. She was a domineering and foolish person who deserved no sympathy. As for Shao Yunduan, he was merely a conceited man. What true skills did he possess? How could he have the audacity to participate in the spring examination in the capital? Someone would surely teach him a lesson. He was going to wait and see that happens. Chapter 941. Severance letter. Observing Qiao Hongxi's hostile glare, Xian remained calm and composed, her heart filled with a cold detachment. It was understandable that Madam Lady Qiao and the others despised her. After all, they shared blood ties, albeit with a layer of separation between them. But Qiao Hongxi, as her biological brother, had not defended her when Madame Yuezhing declared their disassociation. Instead, he displayed a smug and proud expression. It appeared that he didn't consider her as family. Fine. Xian realized that she had no true familial connection with the Qiao family, which made things simpler. Soon, the letter of disassociation was written. Madame Yuezhing sneered. If you kneel and kowtow to me now, perhaps I might forgive you. Otherwise you will never have the opportunity. You are no longer allowed to set foot in the Qiao family, and you must never utter a word about the Qiao family to anyone. If you cause any trouble, the Qiao family will not intervene. Qiao Hongxi seemed concerned that Xian and Shao Yunduan might have regrets. Before they could respond to Madame Yuezhing, he handed them the letter. Take it and leave. Remember, you are forbidden from returning to the Qiao family, and you cannot claim any affiliation with us. Xian glanced at him and smiled. I cannot accept this letter of disassociation. What do you mean? Qiao Hongxi sneered. Regretting your decision? It's too late. Madame Yuezhing and the old master of the Qiao family did not affix their fingerprints to the letter, so I'm concerned that you may go back on your word. Xian's seemingly casual remark caused an uproar within the Qiao family. How dare you? How unreasonable. You. Fine. Bring me the letter of disassociation, and I will sign it. Madame Yuezhing glared at Xian, her gaze filled with a desire to inflict harm. She scowled. You certainly hold yourself in high regard. First Madame Qiao sneered as well. She turned to the relative beside her and ordered, Go fetch the old master and inform him that something is amiss at home. Second Mrs. Qiao didn't want to be left behind. Bring second old master here too. Soon, the two Qiao family patriarchs returned to the mansion, their expressions far from pleasant upon seeing Shao Yunduan and Xian.
Old Master Qiao exuded an air of dignity, even emitting a contemptuous snort through pursed lips. Evidently, Xianxia had divulged everything to the servants during their journey. They held no fondness for Xianxia and Shao Yunduan either. However, their overconfidence failed to intimidate Xianxia and Shao Yunduan. Shao Yunduan spoke, "You must be the old master and second old master of the Qiao family. Please sign the contract and provide us with the letter. We shall take our leave." Shao Yunduan's tone and expression irked the two patriarchs, fueling their annoyance further. It was no wonder the entire family found these two individuals exasperating. They were insufferable. "How impolite of you. You don't even know how to address me as uncle. How ill-mannered. Sign it." The second old master sneered. "Are you serious? Don't you dare regret this." Xianxia retorted, "Why would we regret it? Or is it you who regrets? Madam Lady Qiao made the promise, and you lack the filial devotion to honor it." Chapter 942 shows absurd. The two Qiao family patriarchs grew infuriated by their impudence. Reluctantly, the brothers signed the contract and sneered. "How did the Qiao family produce a daughter like you? When third brother and his wife return, I will certainly inquire about this as their elder brother." Shao Yunduan took the letter and began reading it. Xianxia maintained a calm smile. "Sure, go ahead and ask them. If it's convenient, you can even let me know their responses. I'm curious to see how they've been educating their children all these years." The two old masters stood dumbfounded, caught off guard by Xianxia's audacity. Madam Lady Qiao grew increasingly annoyed. "Just leave already." Shao Yunduan gently pulled Xianxia. "Let's go." Xianxia nodded and followed him, without casting a backward glance. The Qiao family seethed with anger, hurling curses at Xianxia and Shao Yunduan for their unreasonable behavior. They continued to blame County Magistrate Qiao and Madam Qiao for raising such a rebellious girl. It was utterly humiliating. Suddenly, second Mrs. Qiao smiled at Qiao Hongxi. "Oh, by the way, Hongxi, you seemed familiar with them. Have you met them before?" Madam Lady Qiao also recalled. "Yes, Hongxi. How did you come across them?" Qiao Hongxi felt somewhat embarrassed. He had been humiliated by Xianxia and Shao Yunduan right before his eyes. Therefore, he vaguely replied, "I bumped into those two individuals on the street, and they ended up accusing and scolding me. I knew they weren't good people. They're just troublemakers." Madam Lady Qiao displayed a look of disgust. "Bitches will always be bitches. They're foolish and despicable. I was concerned they would continue to bother us, but it seems it's all too easy. If anyone dares to approach our doorstep again, instruct the gatekeeper to drive them away immediately." They all nodded in agreement. Old Master Qiao chimed in. "Mom, Shao Yunduan appears to be dim-witted, and he's certainly not qualified to become an advanced scholar. After the spring examination, they'll leave the capital and never return. Let's just pretend they don't exist. I don't think we need to inform the clan about this. What do you think?" Removal from the clan was a significant matter. They would have to report the reasons to the relatives within the clan, and both parties would provide a clear explanation in person. Then, the clan would decide whether to proceed with the removal. Although the Qiao family had the final say within the circle, going through the motions to formally remove Xianxia from the clan would still bring humiliation to the Qiao family if word got out. It wasn't pleasant to have raised such a mischievous daughter within the Qiao family. Madame Yuezhing pondered for a moment and nodded. "All right, that's a fair deal for her." As soon as Xianxia and Shao Yunduan stepped out of the Qiao family, they clung to each other, crying in each other's arms. They gazed up at the gate of the Qiao family, tears streaming down their faces. Shao Yunduan wore an expression of fury as he patted her back, gently comforting her. Willow Branch Alley was a bustling and populous street, filled with residents and numerous small vendors who frequented the area to sell their wares. Everyone enjoyed watching a spectacle. Many household servants and maidservants couldn't help but gather around, whispering to each other with curiosity. Chapter 943. bullying Xianxia wiped his tears and vented his frustration to the others. He accused the Qiao family of being snobbish and haughty. Their young Madame Qiao, being the daughter of a concubine, and their recommended man, hailing from the countryside, were not regarded highly by the Qiao family. Despite visiting the seniors in the capital for the examination, they were inexplicably humiliated. Young Madame Qiao couldn't bear the grievance and was even slapped twice. She told them to leave and never come back, and she even wrote a letter severing their relationship. Writing such a letter was no easy task, and upon hearing these words, the 10 individuals listening to the commotion gasped collectively.
A letter of severance? Did I hear that correctly?
Goodness, that's going too far.
What happened? Something must have occurred for the Qiao family to do this, right? Hee. We all know what the Qiao family is like.
Looking down on a concubine's daughter and son-in-law is not surprising. Exactly, no matter the circumstances, the couple traveled all the way to the capital and didn't even want to be associated with their relatives. They must have been offended in some way. And the Qiao family.
That's true.
The Qiao family's gatekeeper witnessed the whole incident and rushed inside to relay the message. Just as Xian and Shao Yunduan were about to leave, Shao Yunduan held Xian's hand and they departed. Back at the Qiao family, the gatekeeper hesitated to disturb Madame Lady Qiao, so he reported to First Madame Qiao instead. She sneered. How audacious they are. They dare to bring ruin to our family.
Gather some people and drive them away.
Xian and Shao Yunduan had barely left when the Qiao family's gatekeeper and 3 or 4 fierce servants rushed out. The onlookers continued to observe the spectacle. Witnessing the menacing expressions of the Qiao family servants, they exchanged knowing glances among themselves. What else was there to comprehend?
Qu'est-ce? What a bully.
It seemed that Xian's assessment was accurate. As they boarded the wagon, Shao Yunduan instructed Xianxia, who was driving, head to the nearest medical center. Xian glanced up at him and mustered a smile. The pain in my face has subsided. I'll be fine with just a damp cloth. Shao Yunduan gently caressed her cheek and spoke in a low, resonant voice. It must still hurt. I never expected Qiao Hongxi to be so heartless. Xian was his sister, and he couldn't simply treat her with indifference. It wasn't necessary. Furthermore, Xian, as a married concubine's daughter, posed no threat to him. When he heard the sound of the slap, Shao Yunduan's heart skipped a beat. He felt an intense urge to retaliate against Qiao Hongxi. He couldn't bear to see his beloved wife being subjected to such cruelty. His emotions oscillated between heartbreak, anger, and guilt. He berated himself for not being strong enough to confront these arrogant individuals. Yet, he took solace in the fact that they had made it this far and were poised to progress further. Xian smiled, tugging at Shao Yunduan's sleeve as she spoke sweetly. Don't worry like this. I truly don't feel much pain. Look at Qiao Hongxi's feeble hands. How strong could he possibly be? Moreover, we aren't at a disadvantage. See, we obtained the letter of severance, and we even staged a scene at the Qiao family's gate. In reality, compared to the letter, this slap means nothing. If it means severing ties with the Qiao family, I can endure even 10 slaps. Chapter 944. Grievance. Xian's eyes widened, and she froze in place. Shao Yunduan leaned in and tenderly kissed her lips. It was as if he was concerned that the handprint on her face might cause her pain, so he kissed her with utmost care and gentleness. He pressed his cool lips against hers and then released her. Xian's cheeks turned crimson. She lowered her head, unable to meet his gaze. It was such a humiliating situation. A surprise attack. It felt improper. Observing her head lowered, her ears tinged with a blush, and her neck adorned with a faint layer of redness, Shao Yunduan felt a sense of satisfaction. So his wife could become shy so easily? What would she do in the future? As he pondered this, a burning sensation surged in his heart. Recalling the tenderness of their kiss, Shao Yunduan's eyes narrowed. He grasped Xian's hands and spoke softly. You mustn't behave like this anymore. I won't allow it. Shao Yunduan was consumed by anger, thinking about how Xian could have evaded Qiao Hongxi's slap. She wouldn't have been subjected to such a harsh blow from him. But she didn't even attempt to dodge it. It was as if she purposely let herself be slapped. Xianxia was taken aback. She turned to face him. Yunduan grew exasperated, yet he couldn't help but chuckle. He pinched her cheeks gently. You have to stay away from doing that. Xianxia blinked and averted her gaze, offering a smile. Oh, you caught me. I was planning to dodge it, but I thought getting slapped would make it more convincing. Yunduan remained silent as he gazed at her. Xianxia was quickly defeated. All right, I'll dodge it next time. I don't need your pity. I don't need your pity anymore. Xianxia exclaimed, her voice filled with determination. Xiaoxian's words warmed her heart. She nodded in acknowledgement. Understood. Despite her inner happiness, when she smiled, she inadvertently moved the corner of her mouth too much, causing a twinge of pain from her wound. Yunduan, who had been smiling back at her, grew alarmed once again. Does it hurt? Just endure it a little longer. Xianxia, why are you driving so slowly? Hurry. With urgency, Yunduan guided Xiaoxian into the clinic, calling out for a doctor. His anxious tone startled the doctor, who assumed a highly important patient had arrived, and greeted them with utmost seriousness. However, upon seeing Yunduan's request for a diagnosis of Xiaoxian's facial injury, the doctor became tongue-tied. He glared at him and muttered, "It's just a superficial wound, isn't it? Take a bottle of ointment home, apply it a few times, and there won't be any trace left. What's the point of making a fuss?" Yunduan couldn't believe it. Is that really enough? Look at her swollen face. It's a serious injury. Shouldn't you prescribe additional medicine? The doctor glared back. Feeling humiliated, Xiaoxian kicked Yunduan and spoke to the doctor. Just ignore him. He's intoxicated and speaking nonsense. Please give us some ointment. Yunduan was about to say something when Xiaoxian shot him a glare, silencing him. Yet, she still felt nervous as she observed Xiaoxian. Chapter 945. Unexplainable. Xiaoxian took the ointment from the doctor and requested a basin of water to clean their faces before leaving. The doctor stared at Yunduan for a while, then waved his hand impatiently. Just go. Expressing gratitude, Yunduan led Xiaoxian to the back hall. Xiaoxian remained silent, conflicted between feelings of humiliation and happiness. Upon returning home, Yunduan instructed Xianxia not to reveal his identity or show up in person. He even enlisted the help of some idlers to spread the news about what had transpired earlier that day. They didn't need to worry about the cost. The news would circulate within Liuji Alley, bringing benefits to Xiaoxian and Yunduan. Considering the Qiao family's lack of popularity in the capital and their avoidance of causing trouble, it was unlikely to draw much attention from the wider city. Yunduan and Xiaoxian weren't naive enough to spread the animosity between the Qiao family and the concubine's daughter throughout the entire capital. However, they could ensure it circulated within Liuji Alley. That would be sufficient. If a similar incident occurred in the future, the Qiao family would find themselves at a disadvantage. Soon enough, the news began to spread throughout Liuji Alley. The Qiao family is so heartless. Absolutely. Even if she's a concubine's daughter, she's still part of the family. And she's already married, yet they show no mercy. Poor girl, her face is swollen, and she's in tears. It's just a few pennies, and the Qiao family can't even afford that. How stingy. I heard the concubine's son-in-law is a recommended scholar, and if he becomes an advanced scholar, the Qiao family will look so foolish, hee. Exactly, we can't let them off the hook just like that. The Qiao family became increasingly frustrated upon hearing the gossip. They're just spreading baseless rumors. What do they know? They're just indulging in idle chatter. Madam Lady Qiao's appetite was greatly affected by her annoyance. The infuriating part was not that the Qiao family was accused of mistreating them. It was that the accusations were entirely unfounded. She felt deeply humiliated by the false accusations. The outsiders had no idea how insufferable Xiaoxian and Yunduan truly were. Far more arrogant than anyone could imagine. The Qiao family, unwilling to be deceived, attempted to fight back. However, to their surprise, no one believed their side of the story. The idea that the concubine's daughter and her husband would be audacious enough to provoke and disrespect the senior members of the Qiao family, even demanding a letter of severance. How preposterous! Were the Qiao family out of their minds? How could they utter such absurd claims? Madam Lady Qiao realized that she had to concoct a convincing narrative. Otherwise, she would appear utterly ridiculous. After all, they were newcomers, and the son-in-law of the Qiao family was preparing for the spring examination. What purpose would they have in provoking the Qiao family? Normally, people would seek their favor to garner support. And to suggest that she had willingly requested the letter of severance. How absurd! Moreover, what about the slap on the concubine's daughter's face? Did she slap herself? The Qiao family found themselves speechless. Aside from vehemently insisting on the truth, they couldn't offer any plausible explanations. "We're telling the truth, I swear." Chapter 946. Unreasonable that would make them have even less reputation. The Qiao family got increasingly annoyed. But no matter what she said, they could not defend themselves. Madam Lady Qiao got so annoyed that she could not eat. So with the two daughter-in-law's instigation, County Magistrate Qiao and Madam Qiao were cursed at full blast. They were considered as so unreliable that Xian turned out to be such a rebellious person who set up the whole family. Even Qiao Hongxi, as their son, was implicated. Madam Lady Qiao did not even want to speak with him for a few days. The first section of the family and the second section of the family were even more displeased. Qiao Hongxi felt both angry and humiliated. But he did not blame Madam Lady Qiao, the first section of the family or the second section of the family, but Xian and Shao Yunduan. It was all their fault. She had nothing to do with her family anymore, but she still caused them so much trouble. How horrible! But he had no idea where the couple lived, and he could not do anything about it. He had to keep it himself. On the contrary, Xian and Shao Yunduan had been paying attention to what was going on at Liuji Alley. Hearing that the Qiao family made a mistake, Xian laughed. That was interesting. Well, when her father and lineal mother returned to the capital, things would get even more interesting. As the spring examination approached, the imperial examination candidates from the intermediate examination were all here, and there were many gatherings taking place everywhere. The impetuous and anxious atmosphere spread around all the time. Shao Yunduan, Lu Min and Gu Zhio did not like this. In order not to get involved, they did not attend many gatherings. But they were also going somewhere they picked. For example, the grand gathering at Pear Garden in the north of the city was going to be attended by the three of them. They had thought that it was a very high-profile gathering that involved the essence of knowledge, but the topic went to a different direction. Shao Yunduan got tired of hearing that. He got up and went away alone. The scenery here was very good. A large patch of Pear Garden was in full bloom, and the wind blew past the white petals and snow. It was very beautiful under the sun. Shao Yunduan was thinking about taking his wife to have a look around the next day, because the flowers would have withered if they were a few days late. As they ventured beyond the Pear Garden, they arrived at a serene lakeside adorned with flourishing reeds and encircled by graceful waterbirds. The tranquil reflection of the sky and clouds instilled a sense of relaxation. While strolling along, Shao Yunduan's attention was abruptly captured by a silver-blue brocade handkerchief resting on a low bush. The exquisite embroidery and fine texture suggested that it was no ordinary accessory for a common girl. Shao Yunduan found himself in a dilemma. The area was bustling with people today, many of whom were leisurely enjoying the Pear Garden's picturesque scenery. The conspicuousness of the handkerchief raised concerns. What if it fell into the hands of an ill-mannered individual, potentially causing trouble? He pondered the possibility of retrieving it and disposing of it discreetly later, thus preventing any innocent girl from suffering harm. However, an inherent reluctance prevented Shao Yunduan from directly involving himself in such affairs. He hesitated, standing still as he contemplated his next move. In the midst of his deliberations, two young and handsome men, one appearing to be the master and the other his servant, rushed towards him, seemingly in search of something. Shao Yunduan's heart skipped a beat. Swiftly, he bent down and concealed the handkerchief within his sleeves before approaching the couple. With curiosity and concern evident in his voice, he inquired, "What is it that you're searching for?"
You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.